I've seen the world. And the world has big titties and a demonic core. What's up, guys? It's Kictor, and this is my beautiful girlfriend, Stitch. And we are talking about the final Thousand Autumns book. Thousand Autumns Volume 5. We got the special edition.
Came with stickers, bookmark, postcards.
It also came with no more autumns.
This is the last autumn.
And does that say, I can't believe I like Yan Wushi now?
He really turned it around. I
What?
didn't think I was ever going to stan Yan Wushi, but
More like Stan Wushi?
stan Wushi, honestly.
What?
Yeah.
How could this deplorable man win your heart?
It takes like one small gesture and one giant gesture of love, and I'm sold.
Wow.
It's like a good balance, you know?
I feel like we were on such dire straits for so long. Like, we
I know.
truly didn't know if this was gonna be a romance.
I know. And Yan Wushi, he just doesn't make sense. He just is a very selfish person, so he can commit 100% to anything he puts his mind to. And he put his mind to deciding that Shen Qiao was the man that he loves and no one else.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a lot about how much he doesn't suck this volume, and I'm so happy.
I'm very eager to see how this kind of turns into
Yeah.
a love story.
Mm-hmm. You might be surprised. You might be enchanted with how far it goes. I truly didn't know where we would land.
Yeah.
Even if they like had strong feelings for each other, I wasn't sure how that would manifest. So I was really excited to finally know.
Do they bang?
We'll get to that slide.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my god.
Okay, so next slide.
Beautiful cover. Skunk man.
Okay, so when we last left off in Volume 4, Shen Qiao was just delivered the news that he would have to dress as a woman for the rescue mission into the palace.
Wouldn't be a Danmei without it.
Truly, it wouldn't be. So how that happened is there is this guy, Puliuru It's a weird name, okay?
Pablo Picasso?
Puliuru Jian. He's planning a coup to oust the current emperor because the current emperor sucks balls and is incredibly unstable. Okay. Unfortunately, his daughter is the empress, and she and her younger brothers are essentially hostages in the capital. And so ideally, he would like them to be rescued so that they can be safe during this hostile takeover. Now, Shen Qiao and Yan Wushi have already decided to back this guy, essentially, knowing that him being in a place of power, like, he's got a level head, he's going to, like, make some good decisions. They kind of trust him to steer the country in the right direction because the bar is in hell with this current emperor who is basically just goofing around.
Okay.
But anyways, the only way they can get into the palace is if Shen Qiao is disguised as a maid to go undercover under the pretense of delivering gifts to the empress.
That was the only way.
It was the only way. So he dresses up as a woman. He comes out. It's like a first look moment, and Yan Wushi is like, why does he look so good?
Stop!
And he's like, you look too good, actually. So he makes him put on ugly makeup to look more like a normal woman, not an incredibly beautiful woman.
Oh my god!
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So he and Yan Mei, which is one of Yan Wushi's disciples, he also goes undercover as a maid, less notably, and two other
He's
maids.
like, I'm also undercover. Like, yeah.
You're not pretty enough to be a problem. So they and two other maids go into the palace to meet the empress under the pretense of delivering gifts from her family. And as they're there, about to pull off this rescue mission, the emperor himself shows up. And you get a good picture of him being just an absolute asshole to his wife, the empress, and even, like, kind of coming on to Shen Qiao, like, wow, you're pretty. If you
Even
just
in
took
my ugly makeup.
Yes, he's like, if you took care of her skin better, you'd be so pretty. I kid you not. This is like a conversation. And Shen Qiao's like, okay, the rescue mission isn't going well.
Wow.
And so he and Yan Mei, like, exchange a look, and they're like, okay, let's just attack people and escape quickly.
Nice.
The undercover part is not going well. Because at this point, you're going to have to sleep with the emperor to get us out of here. So the reason for the timing behind this coup and rescue mission is because the emperor is being constantly guarded by the Buddhist master martial artist Shui Ting. And he's one of the guys behind the ambush on Yan Wushi, like, a couple volumes back that almost killed him.
Okay.
So Yan Wushi has a personal grudge against this guy. But he's also enough of a problem where they really don't want to have to fight him if they don't have to. So that's why they're going undercover. They're waiting until this moment because Shui Ting has decided to go to a temple, like a Buddhist temple, and has left the palace, temporarily leaving the emperor unguarded.
Okay.
But anyways, back to the moment in the palace, they decide, rescue mission not going so well, we're just going to fight our way out with the empress and her brothers. Lo and behold, guess who was in disguise next to the emperor this entire time? Shui Ting, the guy who's not supposed to be there.
Oh.
It was a ruse. He pretended to leave the palace and thus kind of instigated them to launch this sort of mission and coup. He was there the entire time. And so they're like, oh, fuck. Now we're really screwed.
A lot of disguises happening in this.
Just wait. Next. So Shen Qiao is like, I'm a man. And then Shui Ting is like, I'm a martial artist. And then next to Shen Qiao, another maid reveals herself. Guess who? Next slide. It's Yan Wushi.
Stop!
Yan Wushi is also disguised as a maid in this moment.
Oh my, this is so funny. This is like right out of a like sketch comedy.
Right?
Oh my god.
All these disguises are being revealed. Yeah, it turns out he is also dressed as a woman at this time. Now you may be wondering.
Is he a hot woman?
He is a normal, unassuming looking woman.
With giant tits?
You may be wondering how a man with giant tits and such an imposing stature and DILF energy could possibly disguise himself in any way that would fool anybody around them.
Yeah.
And there are two unfortunate answers to this.
What did he do?
Do you remember in an earlier volume there was this guy, let's see, it's Huo Shi Jing, who was the demonic cultivator who liked to skin people and wear their faces?
Yeah.
Shen Qiao killed him, right?
Yeah.
So that was a while ago. However, at that time, Yan Wushi got his hands on one of the skin masks and has just been keeping that in his back pocket this entire time.
Okay, that's kind of funny though.
He's
like, well, no one else is gonna be using this.
Right?
Might as well.
So, if I am to understand correctly, he is wearing just a random woman's face right now.
That's so gross.
So, reduce, reuse, recycle, okay?
I mean, she's already dead.
That's what Yan Wushi is probably thinking. So that's his face, right? But what about him having a giant, luscious man body? Bone shrinking techniques.
Stop. This is such dead-made bullshit. What?
It's in the name. It's exactly what it sounds like. You can just sort of
shrink your bones up.
You can just sort of like martial arts chi your way into shrinking your bones.
That's what kittens do to fit under doors.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. I guess there would be other practical applications for this besides
hiding.
Cross-dressing. Like you could probably like contort yourself into like small spaces like ninja style. Like,
yeah.
You know, escape and evasion.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure this is the only time this becomes relevant.
Oh my
essentially.
God. Just my bone shrinking juice.
Yeah, so he kind of unshrinks his bones and starts.
Does he like poof, pop out of like the maid outfit suddenly?
It's busted out suddenly. I would love that. I think he's still wearing the face though.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he doesn't quite take that off. And
so he has a man body and a woman's face?
I think so.
Oh my god.
I think
what
so.
the hell?
He's like, I need my bones to fight, but
stop. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So after that stunning reveal, everyone is kung fu fighting. Like, Shui Ting and Yan Wushi are going at it, and they're like just in their own little world. So Shen Qiao is down there with Yan Wushi's disciple, the empress, the brothers, the other guys guarding the emperor himself, and it's like utter chaos. And it's kind of like everything seems really uncertain, like what's gonna happen. And then Shen Qiao just makes an executive decision to stop protecting the Empress and her brothers and to just take the Emperor hostage to really expedite things.
Nice.
Which works nicely. So after that, it kind of fast tracks through the events that follow. Like, they take the Emperor hostage. That basically solves everyone's problems. They launch the coup immediately. Like, you know, soldiers enter the palace. And Puliero Jian becomes the new emperor. Easy
Sweet.
as that.
Successful mission.
Yeah.
Just had to become women. Women run the world.
Meanwhile, Yan Wushi and Shui Ting are still fighting, and we actually don't see any of their fight at all. Like, Shen Qiao is just, like, not caring. And it's not like the book is exactly 100% in his perspective all the time, but his apathy is generally running through it, so... they're just kind of, like, overhead, like, running around on the rooftops, causing property damage, and Shen Qiao is immediately distracted by the disappearance of one of the Empress's younger brothers. He has been kidnapped in the chaos.
Okay.
And Shen Qiao immediately gets the message from the kidnapper, being like, we got your kid, and all we want is one of the Juyang's strategy scrolls.
Right.
So Shen Qiao's like, okay, that's fair. And he goes to meet the kidnapper, who is none other than Cheng Gong.
From Stars of Chaos?
Yeah, so Cheng Gong stole this kid and wants one of the strategy scrolls for it. That I'm pretty sure it's the one that Shen Qiao just got for dressing up as a woman.
Is Chung Gong the donkey sandwiches kid?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Now, he has moved up in society
Yeah.
to become a duke. And so you may be wondering, like, what is all of this about? Well, he is in the middle of panicking because he got his noble title from the current emperor. Well, the pre-ousted current emperor.
Right, yeah.
Who is, notoriously not a good guy. And so they have been, like, not good guy besties together.
Yeah.
And in the previous book, he was, like, running around getting things for him and doing his bidding. And so he knows that his time is running out. He knows that he's going to be stripped of his title and all of his privileges. And so he is just collecting as much power as he can before running off.
Right.
So Shen Qiao is like, okay, fair enough. Just give me the kid. I'll give you this. And we will just call it a day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he does not give back the kid because he's like, obviously I'm going to keep the kid until I get out of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And so Shen Qiao has to kick his ass. It's like, just give me the kid back. This could have been so easy, but no. And so he does that, and he destroys Shen Gong's martial arts.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Which is kind of just an internal martial arts move where you can kind of just, like, bop someone on the head and just, like, boosh.
Kind of like
destroys,
Modazushi.
Yeah, destroys their core.
Okay.
They can't do any martial arts shit anymore.
Pretty hardcore for Shen Qiao.
Yeah. And I think it shows, like, a lot of his growth as a person to be able to kind of pull the plug on people being bad.
Yeah.
Like, he gives people multiple chances, but he also recognizes, like, you've done enough bad things where you are not going to change, and you don't deserve to have the privilege of having the power to hurt more people.
Yeah.
He's not gonna, like, kill someone if he doesn't have to, but he's not just gonna let them run rampant.
Yeah.
But Cheng Gong and him have a really interesting conversation because they're described as, like, two people who met when they were at, like, their very worst. And how they've had all of these, like, chance meetings over and over again. And so, like, they're kind of foils for each other because they had, like, a very similar point, but then diverged and went on separate paths. And Cheng Gong has a lot of resentment towards Shen Qiao, despite knowing that Shen Qiao has only treated him nicely, like, this entire time, and that, like, he betrayed Shen Qiao, like, and therefore, like, he should be the bad guy, but he feels very defensive and still, like, gets angry at Shen Qiao and starts talking about luck. He says, like, you, like, were chosen, like, at, like, complete random by your master, and you were put in a position of privilege, and you got to, like, train and become a martial artist, and all the good things that have ever happened to you are just from luck, and all the bad things that have ever happened to me are just from luck, and that's why I had to resort to evil things to get to where I am, because I was just unlucky.
Right.
So it was a really interesting conversation, or rant for him to have, because I think that does tie into a lot of the themes and events of Thousand Autumns. Because, you know, his logic is completely ignoring all of the bad things that also happened to Shen Qiao that were unlucky.
Yeah.
I think Shen Qiao is of the belief that, you know, good and bad things, like lucky and unlucky things, are, you know, all... they're all essentially neutral. Like, they will happen to you, but like what you make of them is really what defines you as a person.
Right.
Dao.
Dao. So he's like, Shen Qiao kind of has the perspective of, even if all those bad things happened to me, I still wouldn't have resorted to evil. But does he have a bit of sympathy and kind of gets it?
Yeah, I think he has pity for Chang'an and sees like where he's coming from, but he also can like feel that sympathy and still disagree and still decide, to let him suffer the consequences of his actions.
Yeah. He's like, cool story, bro. Still a crime.
Yeah, like Chang'an was like super angry like when he destroyed his martial arts. Like, who are you to decide that for me? Like, why can't you just let me be evil in peace?
Yeah.
But Shen Qiao is not just someone who's going with the flow of things either. He's actually very active in the people he's involved with. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Shen Qiao destroys his martial arts. That situation is kind of done with. But before he can really decide what else to do to Chang'an, the child that he kidnapped picks up Chang'an's sword and stabs Chang'an. Just kills him right there.
I mean, get fucked.
Yeah. So Shen Qiao was just like, what the hell? This child is way more aggressive than
He was kidnapped.
Yes. And the kid was like, how dare you kidnap this fucking venerable one?
The child then removes his mask and was Yan Wushi again after shrinking his bones even smaller.
That's so funny. So, as for that, like, just put a pin in that because, like, okay, that was a little weird. That child's a little bit odd. Mm-hmm. We'll get back to that child. He's not really important until the extras, but he is involved in the future of the nation, because again, he is now like the current emperor's son.
Yeah.
He's like the younger son though, so he's not the person who is like fated to become the crown prince.
Right.
But he does seem to have a lot of ruthless ambitions. So,
Okay.
Shen Qiao's already looking at this kid being like, oh god, we're gonna have some trouble in the next generation. Okay, but that's that. Okay. So, moving on, what the hell where is Yan Wushi? What's happening with him? Next slide.
Worries despite knowing Yan Wushi just wants attention. Hello, honey, I am home from war. Coughs up blood dramatically.
So, Shen Qiao just goes home after that, essentially. Like, he goes to, like, Yan Wushi's villa and is sitting there enjoying a drink, playing chess with Yan Wushi's disciple. And Yan Wushi finally shows up after his fight, still wearing the maid outfit. Dramatically coughing up blood. Like, does anyone care about me?
Oh my god.
He won the fight, of course.
Good.
But instead of enacting total revenge on Shuiting, he only destroyed his martial arts, which Shen Qiao finds a little bit strange.
Huh. Shen Qiao's like, I also just destroyed a guy's martial arts.
But there will be a follow-up to that later.
Okay.
So anyways, he's acting dramatically injured, and Shen Qiao at this point has enough Yan Wushi experience to be like, he's probably faking this for attention.
Wow.
But he still can't help be very concerned for him. And so he immediately like checks his pulse and is like very concerned for him and like has to make sure he's okay. He finds that Yan Wushi's injuries like aren't that bad, but he still feels a lot of concern for him. So I feel like there's already a little bit of a shift on Shen Qiao's side.
Yeah.
Like, he has involuntary feelings for Yan Wushi that even go against his sense of reason. So to me, that's a little bit of an inkling, like, I think he might like him a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
The maid outfit can do a lot.
So Yan Wushi's like, okay, I'm gonna go get changed out of this thing. But before he leaves, he looks at Shen Qiao's drink and he tells his disciple, like, switch this to plum wine. Shen Qiao doesn't like honey water, it's too sweet. And he just walks off. And his disciple is sitting there like, what the absolute fuck? Like, Shen Qiao's like, oh, that's weird that he knows that about me. That's odd. And Bian Yanmei is like, it's weirder that he cares. What?
This whole time, Yan Wushi's secretly been Devotion's George?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
Okay, because immediately his disciple, like, gets up, like, switches drink, and then follows Yan Wushi, like, I need you to be so real with me right now. How down bad are you for him? Because if this is just about him being hot, there's like plenty of hot people out there, okay? Because he is stubborn and like righteous and like it is not going to be easy to seduce him. Like if you just want someone, I can find you a hot person.
Yeah, why does it have to be him?
Why does it have to be him? And more importantly, he adds, like, even, like, he, like, first of all, I don't think he swings that way. Like, I see you coming on to him all the time, and it's not working. Secondly, even if you somehow manage to seduce him, he is not the type of person you can just, like, have a fling with and then ghost. Like, you're gonna be stuck with him. He's stubborn in, like, multiple regards.
Ooh, okay,
so,
yeah.
he's kind of bringing up a good point there. Like, if Shen Qiao did have feelings for Yan Wushi, he's not gonna just be able to, like, you know...
cast him to the side.
Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly, though, Yan Wushi is very unperturbed by all of that. And if anything, he's very pleased that his disciples picked up on his interest in Shen Qiao.
Wow.
He's like, you get a cookie for that.
Oh my god.
And he simply says that he is not interested in a passing fling. And to treat Shen Qiao as himself.
Oh my god. He's already like, he's my equal.
Yes, which is, I thought that was really well put because Yan Wushi, of course, only cares about himself.
Oh my god.
But
I kind of absolutely love getting that insight.
yeah, I agree because we know that Yan Wushi's feelings have shifted, but seeing that confirmed outright with his disciple,
Yeah.
like in like very clear terms, was so thrilling.
I feel like, imagine getting Thousand Autumns from the POV of Yan Wushi the whole time, and it's like you realize he was actually down bad for him immediately. He's just an absolute idiot. Damn, I love that though. Aw, that's a very subtle, like, romance.
Yeah, I really like that he's already fully committed to treating him well. Like, it took a while. There was definitely, like, a sudden decision and switch, but after that, he's just perfect boyfriend material. Even though Shen Qiao isn't willing or ready to accept those intentions, he's gonna lay him on thick anyways.
I just love how his disciple is like, real talk, I don't think he's the one. And Yan Wushi's like, get my wife's name out of your
He's
mouth.
like, I will make him the one. And then after that, Bianya Mei is like the best wingman ever. I love the relationship between Shen Qiao and Yan Wushi's disciples. It's just like, new guy just dropped. We're like, this is like our master's boyfriend, husband, wife. Even though Yan Wushi is hard to get along with, Shen Qiao manages to get along with him precariously. But both of Yan Wushi's disciples have really good personalities, especially having been given the green light from Yan Wushi to treat Shen Qiao as nicely as possible. And, like, Shen Qiao is, like, a genuinely an easy person to like. So I just love that any of Shen Qiao's interactions with Yan Wushi's disciples are just, like, so sweet and friendly.
Yeah.
Another cute scene between Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao is they're just walking together after all of this. And there's, like, the villagers preparing for a festival, and there's, like, lanterns everywhere, and Yan Wushi spies a little tiger plushie in one of the street stalls and just spontaneously buys it and gives it to Shen Qiao.
Aww.
And Shen Qiao is so pleased with it. He smiles and says that it's very cute.
That's so cute. What?
Yeah.
And you can see it in the picture there
Yes,
too.
it's so cute.
That's sweet. I love that.
I know. How darling is that?
The universal idea of wanting to give your crush a cute little stuffed animal.
And internally, Yan Wushi is thinking, you're cute. You're the one who's cute. You're like a cat. There's no difference between big cats and small cats. You are also cat-like.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Very cute. Yeah, and they have just kind of a conversation about current events and whatnot. And I think it's really interesting that despite having, like, completely opposing worldviews, they do have a lot of common ground and understanding in their conversations. And they even have some overlapping values or goals and are willing to accept help from one another.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting, but they do have a really strong foundation to their relationship after everything.
Yeah.
Like, not as, like, the foundation of foundations is shitty and crumbly, but they built something really nice on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. New emperor. He rewards both Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao And so he gives Shen Qiao, like, the funds to build a monastery, which at first seems really random, but then, like, Taoists have monasteries, right?
Yeah.
And it's a really good way to, like, have outreach with, like, the secular world and make connections and have influence and to also draw in new talent. So, like, being connected to Xuandu Mountain, like, this would be a really good thing for his sect.
Mm-hmm.
And so Shen Qiao is thinking of that as he's, like, building this monastery, and he's thinking, I need to go back to Xuandu Mountain and really settle things once and for all. He's not necessarily going back to reclaim, like, his position as sect leader, but he does want to help the sect, and he wants to resolve things with UI and whatnot.
I was gonna say, is UI gonna come back?
Yeah, UI does come back.
Okay.
We're finally, like, at this point, I was like, what else is there? Like, it seems like the nation is in good hands.
It's time to kiss in front of UI.
It's time for Shen Qiao to go back and take care of his trauma. Yan Wushi got, like, a shit ton of money and, like, a noble title.
Nice.
So he is thriving. Shen Qiao has also heard that the alliance that UI made with the Gok Turks has come to a stalemate because the Gok Turks only really wanted Xuandu's, like, resources and, like, ancient techniques and whatnot, and UI refused to give him he refused to hand them over just like that. He's like, this was supposed to be a collaboration. You can't just, like, take shit from us.
Right.
And so now things are a little bit uneasy between them, and so that's kind of gearing up to backfire really quick, because also with the new current, like, political climate, like, the Gok Turks no longer have, like, the really pressing power that they did beforehand. Before the events of, like, this volume, like, the nation was a lot more unstable, and, like, the threat of invasion from the Gok Turks was, like, really pressing. So it was kind of smart to get on their side, thinking that the current nation couldn't really hold itself up if that happened. But now the nation is much more united and stronger, and some of the effects of the previous emperor have been undone, and so now that alliance is not looking so smart.
Okay.
So Shen Qiao wants to, like, go back and talk to UI and kind of figure out, like, where his sect is at. And Yan Wushi is like, I'd go with you, but I'm so super sick and I can't. And that makes Shen Qiao concerned all over again.
Is he sick from his previous injuries, or is he just...
Yeah, so Shen Qiao's, like, really confused, like, how come you haven't gotten better yet? Because when you first came back from the fight, your injuries were pretty superficial.
Yeah.
But it turns out Yan Wushi's been so busy, like, with his, like, catching up with sect leader duties that he hasn't rested at all, and so it's kind of just aggravated his small injuries. And so Shen Qiao's like, because, like, you have, like, a demonic cultivation core, like, I can't just, like, heal you with, like, by channeling internal energy. So, but I do have the special medicine, and so Yan Wushi just takes it without a second thought.
Okay.
Yeah, when Shen Qiao didn't expect him to. But Yan Wushi is like, even though I can't go with you, my disciple can go with you, so I'm going to send you with Bian Mei to go back to the sect. And Shen Qiao's like, okay. And thus begins Bian Mei's important role as a wingman for this relationship.
Home sweet home.
Yes, okay. So they arrive at the town beneath Xuandu Mountain, and lots of cultivators from out of town are gathered there, and they receive a lot of hot gossip. The biggest news at the moment is that Yan Wushi just submitted a letter of challenge to Hulugu, the insanely top-tier #1 martial artist that once fought Shen Qiao's master and was banished for 20 years. So, like, this guy is the #1 martial artist in the entire world right now. Like,
okay. And Yan Wushi's like, fight me.
Yep. He's like, duel me.
Oh.
And Shen Qiao's like, what? We just left
You're supposed
him.
to be resting.
You just left him. Like, why is he doing this now of all times? Like, does it matter to him to be considered #1 that much, where he would challenge this guy, where, like, his odds, like, would be 50-50 on a good day if he didn't have anything wrong with him? Like, Shen Qiao is, like, shaken to his core by this news, thinking, like, oh my god, he's gonna fucking die!
Yeah.
And he just can't comprehend why Yan Wushi would do this. But Bian Mei lets it slip that the timing is most likely to eliminate obstacles for Shen Qiao, because
if he's off busy fighting Yan Wushi, Shen Qiao can do whatever.
Yeah, because like I was saying with the it's like not only is the alliance between like the Gok Turks and Xuandu Mountain suddenly crumbling, but Shen Qiao killed Hulagu's disciple Kunya not too long ago, and so Hulagu would definitely be seeking revenge right about now. And so Yan Wushi declaring this letter of challenge is basically to tie him up, to get him focused on that duel coming up, and to prevent him from making any moves on Shen Qiao or Xuandu Mountain. And hearing this is really what gives Shen Qiao an indescribable feeling. That hearing that Yan Wushi would act out of a motivation for anything other than himself, that he would do something like this just to benefit Shen Qiao, like, he has no words for it.
Yeah.
Like, he's totally shaken by this gesture.
Yeah.
That Yan Wushi didn't even, like, tell him about it, didn't make a big deal about it. Because obviously if he did, it would be, like, more, you know, more manipulative or whatever. But no, he wasn't going to tell him that at all. Had to come from his disciple, who is definitely telling him so that he'll like Yan Wushi.
That's funny.
Yes. Also, he tells Shen Qiao at the same time, like, yeah, you know Shui Ting, the guy he didn't kill, just destroyed his martial arts, he kept him alive to deliver him to the Tiantai sect, which is Shui Ting's old sect that he abandoned to start his own. So that sect has major beef with him and wants him alive so that they can enact their own revenge on him.
Nice.
So he is bringing Shui Ting back to that sect in exchange for the last remaining Zhu strategy scroll.
Oh my god. What's gonna happen when they got all the scrolls?
Well, you see, there is only one scroll of the 5 that related to demonic cultivation, and that's the one Yan Wushi used to repair his core.
Yeah.
The other scrolls are effectively useless to him.
Yeah.
They would only matter or make a difference to Shen Qiao. And so he is doing that to deliver the last scroll to Shen Qiao in particular.
I was just about to inquire about Shen Qiao's core.
Yeah, he's like at like 80 or 90% back of his original power, but I'm sure like that last scroll would definitely make a difference.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Okay.
So those are 2 huge gestures that Yan Wushi is up to in Shen Qiao's absence. Taking care of his boyfriend's martial arts, making sure his boyfriend doesn't get killed. Like, imagine being Shen Qiao right now, hearing all of that.
Be a little flustered.
Yeah. Like, one thing to note, though, and I think this makes this gesture a little more believable, is that the fight between Yan Wushi and Hulagu would have to happen sooner or later. Just the nature of them being, like, the top 2 most powerful martial artists, and their rankings a little bit undecided. Like, they definitely would be drawn into a duel sooner or later, but Yan Wushi instigating the timing of this to be now is key.
Yeah.
And very significant, nonetheless. So, and so Shen Qiao thinks, like, a man so fickle and selfish had done something that even many sentimental people might be unable to. How could Shen Qiao not be moved?
Aww.
It's very sweet. So, he is moved, but he also has to deal with his sect right now. So, in other news, that they hear before ascending the mountain to the sect is that UI is no longer the sect leader.
Oh!
He disappeared in the middle of the night. Nobody knows where he is.
Wow.
Yep. And so the current acting sect leader is Qi Fengge's eldest disciple, Tan Yuanchen.
Okay.
And, like, Shen Qiao remembers him as just being, like very nice, unassuming. Like, he wasn't, like, superbly talented, like, he wasn't, like, superbly ambitious, just kind of, like, a very, like, quiet, retiring sort of person.
Okay.
But, like, he knew him as a brother, and so he's just kind of, this thing has been thrust upon him, because they're running out of disciples to put this position in. So, he goes up the mountain. He also hears that the elders of the sect are holding a conference together to decide who the new sect leader should be, like permanently installed in this position. And so Shen Qiao is like, I guess I will be attending as a member of the sect.
Oh
and
my
so
God.
he shows up. Like, just imagine the reactions of everyone who are like talking about him. He's not even there. And he just like opens the doors, walks in, and is like, yeah, I'll add in my 2 cents
Wow.
to this meeting. The reactions of everyone is just crazy. Just like, you feel so invested in his story after all the betrayal he's gone through, and seeing like the younger disciples and underlings in the sect like reacting as they see him with like so much discomfort, because they know like, oh, it's like, you're here, you should be here, but there's really no place for you here, and your presence is going to cause a lot of chaos and distress. But we also feel really guilty and bad for what happened to you and how we played a complicit part in that. And it's just, everything's so awkward, and Shen Qiao's very unbothered by this. And so he walks in. All the elders are extremely embarrassed, but Tan Yuanchen is so happy to see him. He's delighted, like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're here and you're okay. So that was a nice moment.
Yeah.
And as they're holding the conference to decide who the sect leader should be, because the elders do oppose Tan's position as leader. They don't think he's qualified enough, and they think that someone amongst themselves would be better. Everyone immediately starts criticizing Shen Qiao, be like, you consort with the devil, you fraternize with the devil, you are here, like, because Bianyan mates with him, he's like, you're with a demonic cultivator right now.
Well,
like,
the devil is hot and sometimes nice to me.
Yeah.
So you can shut the fuck up.
That's basically what Shen Qiao says. He's like, oh yeah, I'm so wrong for hanging out with demonic cultivators who rescued me when I fell off the cliff, and you guys didn't do shit. You didn't even look for me.
That's a pretty bad position to be in.
Yeah. So he is like, none of that now, don't be racist. And it's so cool to see him just be so calm, to not hold grudges, but to also not be afraid of speaking up and shutting people down when they try to make him feel bad for things that he shouldn't feel bad for.
And also, like, that was his sect. Like, it would be normal for him to feel guilt or to believe what they're saying. But he's like, I've seen the world. And the world has big titties and a demonic core.
You're killing me. That's so funny. So, in this epic moment where Shen Qiao is really able to, like, show how much he's grown as a person and, like, coming back into his sect for the first time, this amazing moment, the Fire Nation attacks.
No!
Next slide.
Betrayal everywhere. If Yan Wushi betrays him, I'm going to literally get up. I'm going to leave.
Don't worry. The betrayal is not from Yan Wushi.
Oh my god, thank god. I don't think I could handle that.
I don't think I would be sitting here if that happened. I would be burning this book.
Okay.
We're good. Okay. So, the Huan demonic sect shows up. Okay, and that is the sect with Sang Jinxing, the pervert, and Bai Rong.
Yep.
So they're there. The Gok Turks are also there, so that's...
It's literally like Shen Qiao being like, demonic cultivators aren't that bad! And that's like the bad demonic cultivators show up.
Damn!
They're not all bad. Okay, those guys are bad.
Duan Wenyang is one of the notable Gok Turks, I think. Like, he's a disciple of somebody. I don't know. Hard to keep track of. But they show up, they're working together, and they're here to fuck up the Xuandu Mountain sect. Now, the timing of this is a little bit odd, a little bit suspicious. Someone may have given them a call, then that would be a good time to attack. But something else happens to really bring in the fact that there is a traitor that remains in the sect. Because guess who else shows up?
No, is it UI?
UI shows up.
Stop.
He's not, however, leading the enemy. He's majorly injured. He's fucked up. He's walking with a cane. He's barely holding himself together. And he's like, guys, there is a traitor in the sect because the other night I got a message by pigeon and it had Shen Qiao's handwriting, and the handwriting was like, meet me outside, heart, heart, XOXO. And he, of course, rushes outside to meet Shen Qiao. I think he feels really guilty about poisoning him. and gets his ass kicked by a bunch of martial artists he doesn't recognize. They're all like masked up, and he gets thrown off a cliff. Oddly fitting. The reason why martial artists would have been able to infiltrate the sect is if someone within the sect showed them like the hidden mountain path up to the sect.
Okay.
So UI is that he's crawled up the cliff and he's like, there is a traitor here because someone lured me out.
Check the maids.
That's so funny. Anyways, okay, I just love the poetic, not irony, I don't know, maybe irony, but the poetic parallel of UI falling off a cliff and getting severely injured.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a little tit for tat.
It is.
He deserved that much, at least.
Yeah, and it's like his guilt for Shen Qiao, like, wanting to go out and speak with him is what kind of got him in that situation.
Vulnerability led to him being attacked. And also, like, you know, just as Shen Qiao was betrayed, UI was also betrayed by somebody in the sect and was in that position. So, you know.
What's UI's reaction when he sees Shen Qiao?
Oh my goodness. He immediately, like, apologizes to Shen Qiao. He expresses so much regret for what he did to Shen Qiao.
Too little, too late.
And that's what Shen Qiao, like, reacts with.
Nice.
Like, I was so proud of him that he, like, his apology to Shen Qiao was like, I have the best intentions for the sect in mind, but I shouldn't have done that to you. I'm so sorry. And Shen Qiao is not moved by this apology when he receives it because, again, it's a little too late for it to really matter. Yeah. It's like, yeah, of course you feel sorry. Sorry now that you've had to face me. But and you see now that it's like, are you sorry to me or are you sorry that, like, I mean, now he's been fucking kicked off a cliff and, like, the sect is no longer in his hands and it, like, clearly the alliance didn't even work that well. Like, are you more disappointed that your scheme didn't, like, I think his regret is genuine, but it's also, I do think, influenced by the fact that his grand schemes didn't even amount to much. Even though he took, you know, the road of underhandedness to do what he thought was best, it didn't ultimately mean the best for the sect. So, yeah, he's going through a lot. And so Shen Qiao is like, okay, we are getting attacked right now, though, so I'm going to put a pin in that and focus on fighting the enemy here. In the chaos, he kind of, like, takes over a little bit as, like, not, like, sect leader, but definitely the guy in charge. He's the strongest one there by far. And he decides to fight for Xuandu Mountain because, like, this is his master's sect. He is his master's disciple, and, like, that is the one relationship that he wants to, like, cherish and respect. Yeah. And, like, it really shapes who he is as a person.
That's pretty badass. This is pretty, like, epic.
Yeah, it's so epic. And you know what's even more epic and badass? He looks at Song Jingxing, the perverted guy that Yan Wushi betrayed him to, who has been, like, really creepy towards him ever since, and he's like, I'm going to kill you.
Nice! He says that?
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah. That's fucking sick.
Right?
That's awesome.
It's not just like, you're gonna be defeated, I might destroy your martial arts. It's like, no, you are going to die. I'm going to kill you.
That's awesome.
I love that. And so, since they're, like, the two kind of strongest martial artists there, like, they fight while everyone else is kind of fighting each other. And it's an incredibly epic fight. Like, there's giant dragons made of chi, like attacking each other. Like, you can sense, like, the tension and the power in every move. And it's, like, really, like, move for move, like, really intense. And, like, there's a crucial moment where Shen Qiao sees an opening and he moves to attack Song Jingxing and leaves his back unguarded, and someone attacks him from behind.
Is it the traitor?
It is the traitor. But he can't, like, it's too late to block that move because he needs to land this attack on Song Jingxing, and so he's like, he knows it's coming, but he's going to, like, take that blow to get the job done, but it doesn't hit him, and, like...
Did UI jump in front of the bullet? Oh my god, did I write this book?
Like, the battle with Song Jingxing, like, quickly turns in his favor because Sang Jingxing realizes, like, Shen Qiao is way more dedicated to this fight than he is. He's like, Shen Qiao's, like, willing to, like, he's an intense person. He's a stubborn person. He will fucking die if he has to. Like, and Sang Jingxing is a little bit of a pussy. He's like, I'm not, like, I don't care enough about this fight to die here, and I'm losing, so I'm gonna run away. So he runs away. His disciple Bairong chases after him because she's just happy to leave the fight because she doesn't want to be there either.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to do anything that will make Shen Qiao mad at her because she has a crush on him. So they leave, and very quickly, like, Xuandu Mountain manages to overcome the rest of the enemy who scatters once, like, the big players leave.
Okay.
And Mountain is saved. And Shen Qiao turns around and sees that UI is mortally wounded after taking the blow for him, shielding him with his body. And just like that, like, the anger that and resentment that he felt towards UI, like, just drains out of him. And he's so upset, and he, like, holds UI's body, and he finally is able to weep as UI asks if he hates him. He's like, no, I don't hate you. Like, he's able to let go of that anger in those moments, but there's nothing he can do. He tries to, like, heal him, like, channeling, like, chi into him, and it's just, like, it's, like, what described as, like pouring mud into the ocean that just, like, dissolves. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he knows UI is going to die, and UI has the gayest fucking quote possible. I'm just, like, to the point where I'm like, there's a story that we really didn't hear.
I've always kind of shipped them.
I feel like there's a little bit of a, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, that's on the next slide of the quote. Okay. Yes, so, yeah, here's my memorial slide. We have candles.
Oh.
I'm a little upsetty over it. He calls him Ah Chao and says that he'll use his life to repay him, so please don't hate him. And Shen Qiao doesn't want to accept his death, but he knows it's coming. And UI's last words are, how I wish to return when we were young. You could teach Yuan Ying and I swordplay on Shizun's behalf. Your face was always so stiff, but it was always very cute, no matter how I looked. I chased after you, wanting you to call me Shishong. You were so annoyed by me that you could only keep hiding from me, so I searched everywhere, searching and searching. And his voice fades away as he's sort of nostalgically remembering the past and a simpler time when they were just disciples together and had a happy childhood.
That is so sad.
He's like, you were so cute when you were little. I should have appreciated you more.
I really like how Shen Qiao had his moment of, like, too little too late, I'm not accepting your apology, but then also when he saw UI, like, give his life for him, that he was moved from that, and I think showing those two, like, juxtaposing those two really shows that, like, there is so much gray area in life, and for, like, what you stand for, and how you let people treat you, and how it almost kind of feels like there is no, like, right or wrong way to really feel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so...
And I think it was also really lovely and touching because, like, at his core, Shen Qiao, even though he's learned so much from his experiences now, that he is able to, like, hold better boundaries for himself and for others. At his very core, he is still soft-hearted, and that's how he's described in this moment when his anger leaves him. And I think I love that the message of his character is that even though being soft-hearted is, like, what will allow you to feel hurt and betrayed, it's still lovely to care for people that much.
Yeah. Oh,
making myself tear up. Okay, also, importantly, as he's dying, he's like, it wasn't Sang Jingxing who attacked you. It was Tan Huan-chun, the acting sect leader.
Oh, shit.
The guy who's so nice to him.
Oh.
Another betrayal!
Shen Qiao should just be like, I'm used to betrayals at this point. Let me handle this. Really quick, while we're still in the UI train.
Yes.
The Yanshen train, if you will.
Oh my god.
No, can you just remind me why he betrayed him in the first place?
Yes, so when he betrayed Shen Qiao, UI was actively thinking about the position that Xuandu Mountain was in, because under his master, Shen Qiao's master, they were very isolated and didn't interact with the secular world. And as the secular world was changing dramatically and growing more unstable, power was shifting, they, as a sect, were slowly losing power. And he felt that in the future they wouldn't be able to handle the changes in society if they didn't drastically change how they operated. And Shen Qiao, in his master's memory, just wanted to continue on as they had always done and not really adapt.
Yeah.
And so he felt that Shen Qiao was not a good fit for the best interests of the sect. And he was influenced by Tan Yuanchen.
Even way back then.
Because as he was trying to figure out what to do, Tan Yuanchen spoke out against Shen Qiao and really pushed him to do something extreme about it. As a result of Tan Yuanchen, UI poisoned Shen Qiao. And so, even though, of course, he ultimately did the betraying, it is revealed at this point that he was influenced.
Gotcha. From a guy who didn't even have their interests in best interest.
Right.
Huh.
So, that now is revealed to be like very intentional. Like he was manipulated into the poisoning part. At the very least. So now, onto Tan Yuanchen. He gets dragged back by Yan Wushi's disciple in front of Shen Qiao to get the consequences of his actions. And like when Shen Qiao sees him, he's like tied to a pillar and he's like so pissed that he got caught. He's like the facade is dropped and that loving elder brother figure is nowhere to be found. And so Shen Qiao like
I was like, what the fuck did I ever do to you?
Right? Literally. Shen Qiao's like, untie him. There's literally nothing he can do against me. I'm so fucking strong. And is like, well, explain yourself. At this point, he's a little jaded. And this betrayal doesn't hit him as hard as it did UI. But he still doesn't understand why on earth he would act this way.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because part of me was thinking that this second betrayal didn't really hit me emotionally the way UI's betrayal did.
Yeah.
But I think that works really well because that's also where Shen Qiao is at emotionally.
Yeah.
This is old hat to him. So,
well, it's different from like, I don't know, I feel like UI was more like a friend and this guy is more of like an older brother figure, so.
Yeah, I would have liked to have known his character a little bit more beforehand, but we at least get the story now about what's up with him.
Yeah.
And so he confesses that he secretly made a pact with the Gok Turks to tell them the secret path up the mountain so that they could take care of UI and so that he would become the sect leader. And the plan was that because he knew that his leadership would be opposed by the elders, he's like, you guys can go ahead and invade the sect. I will play the hero, drive you guys away.
Right.
And then that will really solidify my leadership.
Yeah.
And in exchange, I'll give you the things that UI wasn't going to give you. All of like the ancient techniques and scrolls and riches.
Okay. So why did he want to be the leader that bad?
That's a good question. And it goes into that. You see, he was the eldest disciple of Qi Fengge. And that usually, kind of like a father, like elevating his eldest son. It would be more traditional if Qi Fengge handed him leadership of the sect. But instead, he passed him over for promotion and made Shen Qiao leader of the sect on his deathbed.
So it's like a total, like, I deserved the throne thing.
And it doesn't end there, because what it really is about when it comes down to it is like, not only did our master give you the sect when it should have been me, You were always his favorite. He loved you
Okay,
and doted on you.
He's pulling a fucking Loki.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, this is absolutely what's happening.
Oh my god.
He loved you and cherished you, and you were his favorite. You were his
I
best
am the would-be king.
student. Like, he didn't love me the way he loved you, and like all of this resentment comes from that. And for a second, you're thinking, like, from Shen Qiao's perspective, like, Qifengge is like an immaculate, perfect person. And you kind of have to pause and wonder, like, was this because he was, I mean, like we know he was loved so much, but like, did he really like favor him over his other students so much?
Yeah.
Like, is it possible that he does have a real grievance against Qifengge and Shen Qiao?
Mm-hmm.
But Shen Qiao was told, like on Qifengge's deathbed, like when he was given like the position of sect leader, his master said, like, you must always honor and cherish your older brother. Just because you're a sect leader doesn't mean that you shouldn't respect him as an older brother.
Yeah.
And so like in Shen Qiao's perspective, he knows this isn't true. He knows that his master's intention was like never to like favor him over anyone else. It was truly like it
over just who's like better.
It was truly a matter of like aptitude.
Like, just because you're the oldest doesn't mean
yes,
it's gonna be you. And he's like, but it should.
So I feel like the tragedy at the heart of this is like whether or not there was any real favoritism or not, like the real tragedy is that Tan Huanchen didn't express his feelings to Shen Qiao or Qifengge. If he had thrown his tantrum back then, being like, you don't love me enough, like you always favor him, if he had thrown a little child's tantrum, I'm sure that both Shen Qiao and Qifengge would have reassured him and comforted him and shown him that that wasn't the case. But instead, he let this resentment simmer into something so horrible that he would do all of these terrible things. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so childish and so stupid, but it's also very, very real. You get it.
Thematically, how do you think this is important and relates back to Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao?
Interesting. I think that this is kind of a way to showcase, I mean, I'm sure there's multiple ways to look at it, but to me, like, this scene, this confrontation between the two of them is a way to parallel and contrast, like, the difference between how Shen Qiao experienced betrayal with UI and now where he stands at the end of the story and how he handles like a very similar situation, and just the vast difference, because Shen Qiao looks at him and like is calm and collected, and even though he feels grief and sadness, and even though Tan Yuanchen is like throwing all of these insults at him, he's not broken up over it, and he knows what he has to do. And he's able to like clearly
Is he gonna kill him?
Good decisions. He destroys his
martial arts. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's the new thing.
The new thing. And he's
like, actually, no one deserves martial arts anymore.
Like, you have all gotten your privileges revoked.
We're gonna do a grand reset, and everybody's gonna be nerfed.
And he says, "Go guard the tomb of our master.
You bitch.
For the rest of your life."
Damn.
Like, as if you were dead yourself. Like, you're gonna fuck off to the tombs and just guard our master day and night, reflect on your actions, and that's it. So, like, he punishes him as, like, sect leader. He's like, this is what you get for what you did to the sect. And, like, as the sect leader...
Shen Qiao has now enacted himself as sect leader again?
It's, like, this is, like, after the battle and whatnot, and everyone's pretty much, like... unanimously been like, you are the leader now.
Yeah,
We're like, we're washing our hands of all this. We need somebody to make decisions.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is back in that position. And so like that's
amazing.
It is amazing. Like, just him being restored to this position, I think, and being able to like just make, like, divvy out that punishment in a way that isn't like personally motivated by any grudge or hurt, but truly is just out of like what's best for the sect.
Yeah.
I think is really, really powerful example of just how much he's grown and how much better he fits the role of sect leader now that he's experienced so much in the world.
Yeah, after experiencing Yan Wushi.
After the epic highs and lows of Yan Wushi.
Okay.
And of course, having your martial arts destroyed is maybe arguably worse than death for a lot of martial artists, because once that happens, Tan Yuan-chun, like, is just reduced to, like, a sobbing mess, and, like, he's just, like, angry crying, and that image left an interesting impression on me, because to me, it felt like he was finally able to express his grief after having that power taken away from him, that, like, it was like a burden being lifted from him. Even though he, of course, is being punished, it's like now he has the ability to, I don't know, actually feel his feelings, you know?
Sure.
So, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So now, Shen Qiao is a sect leader again. He has that monastery being built in the capital, and he knows that, like, the sect does need to, like, interact more with the secular world and be more part of the world's affairs in order to survive. And that's looking really good for them, that they have a way to do that. And also, you know how Sang Jingxing escaped?
Yep.
And by wrong, his loyal disciple chased after him? Well, she was the last person to see him alive before he tragically succumbed to his injuries, and now she is the new sect leader of the Hehuan sect.
Good for her, girl power.
She gaslit
I told
and
you girls run the
bossed
world.
her way into the top.
Wow.
And there's a really interesting scene where a messenger from that sect comes and is like, you're invited to the celebration party for the new sect leader. And he's like, well, the what? She's like, yeah, by wrong.
The celebration party? That's so funny.
I mean, that's my word. It's not there.
No, I know, but it's like, come to the demonic party.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's like, yeah, the little commemoration. Like,
Do they go?
No, Shen Qiao's like, I'm not going. I'm not going to encourage her. That would be cruel.
That
to
is
give her false
hilarious.
hope. But Bairong tells him through this messenger that although it's impossible for her to, like, stop the practice of, like, pear cultivation overnight, that she intends to, like, eliminate it in that sect, because that was the big problem with that demonic sect that Shen Qiao, like, hated.
They were, like, leeching off of people, right?
Yeah, they had sex slaves. It was awful. She said, I've, like, freed all of the women that Sang Jingxing, like, captured. I'm allowing them to join the sect if they want, but otherwise they are free to do whatever they want.
Wow.
And I'm slowly taking the steps to, like, eliminate that practice, because I know that it goes against your sense of morality. And so Bairong is like, I'm doing this all for you because I love you.
Wow.
And
Wow.
please come to my party and hang out with me. I have such a crush on you. And Shen Qiao is like, that's very nice. However, I am busy that day. And the messenger is like, really? Because she's also a girl that was freed. It's just like, come on.
Oh my gosh.
But I think that's interesting because it's kind of a little bit of a parallel between, like, Yan Wushi doing things for Shen Qiao, and Bairong is also doing things changed by Shen Qiao.
Too bad he's a little bit gay.
He's a little bit gay. So I thought I was so happy for her. I love that so much. Good for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, little aside.
Hell yeah.
Oh yes. Okay.
Oh, so cute.
So after all this, we're kind of oh yeah. Yan Wushi's supposed to fight Hulagu.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. So, Shen Qiao learns from Yan Mei. It's like, oh yeah, Yan Wushi's actually really injured.
Uh-oh.
Like, remember his demonic core? It's not fully repaired yet. So, Shen Qiao is rendered so worried.
Yeah.
Like, he cannot rest until he sees Yan Wushi. Like, having this information that Yan Wushi's core was, like, damaged again in the fight with Shui Ting or whatnot, that he would need, like, a year and a half of rest to fully recover. Like, he is just incapacitated with his worry. And knowing that, like, his chances for victory would be, like, absolutely ruined by that, and that he still pushed the timing to benefit him. Like, he can't rest easy until he sees Yan Wushi, knowing the danger she's in. But he's trying to figure out where the hell Yan Wushi went before this fight, and, like, kind of preparing things with his sect. So Yu Shengyan, Yan Wushi's other disciple, shows up, and this is so cute. It's such a small detail, but it really shows how much Shen Qiao is thinking of Yan Wushi and how much he likes him. But when his arrival is announced, like, Shen Qiao like stands up, like he rises to greet him personally, and this everyone thinks like, oh, that's a little bit weird, that's a little excessive. Like he's so happy to see him, so excited to see him, hoping that he'll have news of like where Yan Wushi is, that he greets him personally, which like as sect leader now, like he is like ranks above everyone else. He doesn't need to rise to greet anybody. He's the Queen of England.
It's like he jumped up at his name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like very like no, people will come and like pay their respects to you. You do not need to do that to anyone. But he is just like so familiar with his disciple and like was so happy to see him and really hoping to have news of Yan Wushi that he does this. And so he is shown up to give Shen Qiao the last Zhuyang strategy scroll that Yan Wushi got for him.
Aww.
Yeah. And so
Oh
that
my god. So now is he gonna be like God?
I honestly expected there to be more to that. I felt like there should have been like one last like epiphany breakthrough moment, like where he like freaking achieves some sort of like enlightenment and was like at 100% power or like stronger than he's ever been before. But that was missing. That never really happened, and so I wasn't sure if this is like a you cultivate and then like later on, you know, that moment will happen, or I don't know. I
was expecting him to like eat the scroll and be like, power!
Yeah, I was expecting like one last instance where he would have like a major fight and like with at like max power, or that he would have some sort of really special moment because of this last scroll, but
or like he goes to grab something and like crumbles it because he's so strong now.
Yeah, something to indicate that was a meaningful thing.
Yeah.
But there is no such scene in the book or even in the extras, so I'm not really sure why that is.
Probably because it's not important.
It's really not important. Like, he is so strong, he's capable, he's kind of achieved everything on his own, so that's kind of nice.
It's kind of just for like your own peace of mind.
It's more of like yeah, considering how much the plot was involved in kind of collecting these scrolls and how everyone was chasing after them, like, yeah, I expected a little bit more, but it's kind of nice that it was essentially a romantic gesture, because Shen Qiao is an independent cultivator at this point.
Yeah.
And he asks Yu Shengyan, where is Yan Wushi having his duel? And he replies, Bamboo Peak. And that is where Shen Qiao had his duel with Kunye and fell from the cliff.
Wow. How poetic.
Right?
Oh my god, Yan Wushi, you romantic bitch.
Right?
Does he go and spectate?
Soon. But first, I think like the duel is scheduled for like a month away or half a month away or something. So it's like not right away, but Shen Qiao has the time to finally rush over to where Yan Wushi is, which is a villa near the Bamboo Mountain site. I think it's where Shen Qiao like first recuperated when they found him beneath the cliff, so he knows where that's at. So he runs over to the villa, and he is like, oh my gosh, so worried about Yan Wushi, so worried about his injuries, and he finds Yan Wushi lounging,
tits
out, totally relaxed, not at all concerned, playing with a deer, a little baby fawn.
Aww.
Yes, and guess what he has named the fawn?
Shen Qiao. Ah Qiao?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He named the deer Ah Qiao, and he loves to bully it.
Oh.
I know, it's so cute. And so, Shen Qiao immediately starts grilling him on his injuries, and Yan Wushi kind of deflects and half lies, implying that Yan Yanmei like was mistaken about his injuries and they've already gotten better.
I'm totally fine.
Yeah. And Shen Qiao believes that. And then Shen Qiao issues a proposition to Yan Wushi, which is very simple. He wants to fight in his place against Hulugu.
Oh my god!
And Yan Wushi is like very stunned, which is a lot, but he's like, no thank you.
Yeah.
This is for you.
This defeats the purpose.
Yes. But it does shock him that he would go so far for him.
Yeah.
And it's very romantic as well. But Shen Qiao is really having a hard time like understanding why Yan Wushi wants to fight him to begin with. And so Yan Wushi goes out of his way to explain his mentality, his thought process to Shen Qiao with a flower metaphor, which I will go through. He points to some flowers in the garden. So he's like, look at those flowers. What do you think of those flowers? And they are just in perfect full bloom. And Shen Qiao is like, they are so beautiful. And then Yan Wushi like picks up like a dead leaf and like flicks it at the flowers and just like chops them off. And Shen Qiao's like, why did you do that? They were like living so peacefully. They did nothing to you. They were literally flowers. Why would you kill them? And he's like, that's the biggest difference between you and me. And he explains it as thus. In my opinion, those flowers have already bloomed into their finest form. If they continue to bloom, they'll only start wilting one by one. I'm sending them off. That way, their most beautiful moment will be the one that remains in your heart. Isn't that a good thing?
Oh my god, okay.
So essentially, he's like, I might die, but dying at like the peak of my abilities isn't that big of a deal. I'd rather do that than just kind of fade away into obscurity.
I want to die young.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time, Shen Qiao.
Wow. At least your memory of me will be while I breasted boobily.
Yes! And so, he's ridiculous. But at the same time, Yan Wushi, I think, is still feeling a lot more sappy than he's letting on with this thought process about the risky duel he's doing. And so he, like, praises Shen Qiao and tells him, like, how much he changed his mindset. That, like, Shen Qiao to him is, like, truly an exception to how he thought about the world, like, in which people were only his opponents or beneath him. That there was another type of person that could exist. And he tells Shen Qiao that he is the only person that he's ever had a deep relationship with.
Aww.
And he would like Shen Qiao to do him a favor and make a promise to him to take care of his orphans if he if he does not survive this duel. And Shen Qiao was like, "You're what?" And he's talking about his 2 disciples. He only has 2, but he's like, "Please take care of my disciples. Like, they're the only person I can entrust my disciples to.
Aww.
if I die, and there's like no one." Like you are the only one I have to do that. And there's like a little comment in the text that makes this so funny. It's like he's talking about 2 full-grown men who are like really independent martial artists who are perfectly capable by themselves.
I'm your dad now.
He's like, I need you to be the father to my children.
Yeah.
But it's very cute because it's also like you really can't tell like how much fondness. I mean, obviously Yan Wushi has high standards, which is why he only has 2 disciples. But it's kind of cute that he is like thinking of that. But Shen Qiao, like in total seriousness, like gives his word that if Yan Wushi dies, he will take care of his disciples. And this is a very genuine, like authentic and warm moment between them, like with true genuine emotion. And it's really beautiful. It's really sweet. And I do think that Yan Wushi is a little bit genuinely sappy about it, like how easily Shen Qiao gave his word and considers him a friend. And of course he has to go and ruin it a little bit. And he's like, well, since you're not interested in fame and glory, I guess the only way I can repay you is with my body.
Seals his acupoints.
Yeah. He flips him over and gives him a big ol' kiss.
Oh my god.
And they do spar. But Yan Wushi has figured out the perfect way to deal with him, especially because he's still a little bit injured, and like Shen Qiao is so consumed with worry for him. It's like he intentionally leaves himself open to attack, and then Shen Qiao will not attack him.
Oh,
he refuses to actually strike him, and so that means he can't do anything. And then Yan Wushi just pins him. So, he does get a kiss in there.
But Shen Qiao is still not kissing him back.
No, he's not kissing him back at this point.
God, I will be the father to your children. I will not kiss you back.
There is a really nice line, though, about, like, physically talking about how he's pinned underneath Yan Wushi, but I think it fits well with how this game goes between them. Mm-hmm. Shen Qiao is described as unable to move, but neither constricted nor stifled. So it's like he's being held in place, but he's not actually being being forced.
Yeah.
It's like pinning down a cat to give it a bath.
Nice.
Yeah, so he shamelessly steals a kiss, and there's a good quote about Yan Wushi's feelings and how he is determined to coax our boy into loving him. In the past, Yan Wushi believed that aside from his disciples, there was only two types of people, opponents and insects. However, Shen Qiao's presence within his heart now clearly excluded him from these two categories. Not only that, it was far, far weightier to an extent that even Bian Yan Mei could ever imagine. Right?
Aww.
It didn't matter when his mindset had changed. What was important was that Shen Qiao had slowly dropped his guard and was willing to treat him as a friend, to the point that he'd even be willing to make such a heavy promise to him, for him. But this wasn't enough. To Yan Wushi, it was far from enough. What he wanted was to be peerlessly special, one of a kind in all of heaven and earth, and he didn't want that kind of standing that others could easily imitate or seize. He'd always been an imperious person. If he wanted something, he must have the best, and no one could be capable of replacing him. But Yan Wushi did not display these thoughts excessively. Forget using force to get his way. Compared to the methods he'd used in the past, his current actions were overflowing with tenderness. All of this was because he knew Shen Qiao too well. This man looked soft and gentle, but he possessed a core more unyielding than anyone else's. Even slightly excessive methods might make Shen Qiao disdain him and push him further and further away. Look at UI. His mistakes couldn't have made for a clearer lesson than this.
Oh my god.
So Shen Qiao had deviated from his usual behavior. He'd gradually lured Shen Qiao into his trap. Not only was he not intense, he hadn't even sealed Shen Qiao's acupoints during their short fight just now. If he sealed them, he could force Shen Qiao into a passive position, make him listen, but what would be the point of that? Naturally, there'd be no point. Therefore, as Shen Qiao was amenable to coaxing but not coercion, losing the advantage to Yan Wushi again was completely reasonable.
Aww.
So he's like, I can't coerce him, but I can coax him. I love that he used the comparison to UI, though.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Very revealing. Another thing he does in the scene is that he thanks Shen Qiao for, like, repaying his cruelty before with kindness. Like, he acknowledges that Shen Qiao didn't have to, give him numerous second chances, but that just inherently as a part of who he was, that he did leave a part of himself open to Yan Wushi. Like, yeah. I love that he acknowledged that. So, of course, Shen Qiao, though, is infuriated by the kiss, and they are, even worse, interrupted by Yu Shengyan, who happened to walk through the door at that time, which he promptly, fled the villa. He's like, I'm not going to show my face in front of Yan Wushi for weeks after that.
Oh my god.
After accidentally interrupting their kiss. But Shen Qiao is still too worried about Yan Wushi to really be too mad at him, and he stays with him in the villa, and he affectionately protects the deer from Yan Wushi's bullying, such as throwing walnut shells at it to get its attention.
Oh my god.
Just imagine, Yan Wushi lobbing walnut shells, and, Shen Qiao was casually deflecting them away from the deer.
Oh my god.
The deer loves Shen Qiao, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cute. Yes. But there's still more juicy scenes between them.
Ooh.
Before the fight occurs. Yan Wushi, not stressed. Shen Qiao, very stressed. He is trying to remember, the time his master fought Hulugu to see if he can, remember anything that would help Yan Wushi. He's trying to find any way, any method that he can help Yan Wushi win this fight.
He's really weak to being kicked in the balls.
Yeah, that would be helpful to know.
Yeah.
But remains to be seen. So, noticing that Shen Qiao is having a hard time relaxing in the face of his imminent death, he decides to take him out on the town to, oh my gosh, I forgot to put an image, to the gambling den.
No way.
Next slide.
Hua Cheng?
Yeah, he takes him to the gambling den, one of the many gambling establishments nearby.
Okay.
To play a game called Large or Small.
Oh.
It's not about what you think it is about. It is about dice, faces, numbers. Right. I thought we could play it if you wanted, but
absolutely.
But if there are dice on hand.
There are. There's in that little bag there.
This is the game, Large or Small. It's very easy to play. There are 3 dice. 1 second. There are 3 dice, and if their combined sum is less than or equal to 10, it's small. If it's greater than or equal to 11, it's large.
Well, now we know what he thinks of dick sizes.
You're saying Yan Wushi is at least 11 inches?
Correct.
Okay, so now you have to place a bet, though. That's
okay.
What makes it fun.
It's gonna be large.
Or what?
Or you have to kiss me.
Okay.
Is it the sum of the is higher than 10?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. As big as Yan Wushi's dick.
Wow, 11 exactly.
Wow.
Good job. Okay, so he introduces Shen Qiao to this very fun gambling game. Shen Qiao has never been in this kind of establishment before, so he's looking at everybody gambling, winning, losing, like how invested everyone is in these games.
It's almost like the fates of life.
I shit you not. That's why Yan Wushi takes him to this gambling establishment. He's like, I need you to understand how gambling works, for you to understand why I'm willing to gamble with my life so easily. Because Shen Qiao was like, I don't get any of this. But he has him play this gambling game. And Shen Qiao uses his internal energy to listen to the sound of the dice. And he wins the games over and over again because he's cheating.
Oh my god.
He's cheating because he's just like, go ahead, go play. And Shen Qiao wins every single game until they are begged by the owners to leave because they don't look like the type of people you can kick out for cheating.
Oh my
They're
god.
like, please leave. So Shen Qiao wins a bunch of money. And then as they leave, Yan Wushi's like, this is my first time getting kicked out of a gambling den. He's like, you know you're not supposed to listen to the dice to cheat, right?
Yeah,
And
you're
he's
kind
like,
of defeating the purpose here.
exactly. And Shen Qiao's like, didn't tell me there was a rule against that.
Oh my god, oh my god.
He's like, think about it though. It kind of defeats the point of the thrill of not knowing whether you will win or lose. It's more exciting to not know.
Yeah.
And so Shen Qiao is like, okay. I don't get it. But Yan Wushi is like, I enjoy the thrill of gambling. To me, it doesn't matter, like, what I win, you know, but it's just the thrill of putting something on the line and not knowing what the outcome will be. That, I think, is very fun.
Okay.
And I'm in a good mood when I win. And it doesn't matter if I win money. I just like winning.
Okay.
So, Shen Qiao, at least after this, understands a little bit more of Yan Wushi's mentality and why he's so comfortable risking his life in this sort of gamble. Even when the outcome isn't clear that he'll win, why he's comfortable with that.
Is the outcome if he loses death?
Yeah, this
Like,
is...
okay, I don't really feel like I fully understand just being able to gamble your life
Right.
that much yet.
Yes. And this is something the book does talk about, how Yan Wushi is very different from any normal person.
Yeah.
How it is very strange that he is so comfortable risking his life, how he doesn't, like, really care if he's gambling with that. And it does fit just kind of his very, like, overconfident, kind of careless nature. And this is a battle where inevitably, like, it's so high stakes that, like, you truly have to kill your opponent to win. Like,
Yeah.
There's really no other way that this is likely to play out. You'll either be severely injured or you will die. So, yeah. But he is in a very good mood because he won, that he just tosses his winnings to a beggar. Like, he doesn't care about the money. He just cares about winning.
Okay.
And takes Shen Qiao out to a fancy dinner by the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And they're sitting in front of this beautiful lakeside, and they've got all these, like, delicious dishes in front of them. And he brings out this, like, bottle of wine, and he's like, let's just have a few cups together. And Shen Qiao is not like Shilian in the sense that drinking is not against his cultivation.
Okay.
He can drink, but he is not the type of person personally who, like, wants to get drunk, enjoys being drunk, and he's an extreme lightweight. So when Yan Wushi brings out the wine, he's like, I really shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm about to die, and you won't even drink a cup of wine in my
God.
honor? I'm wounded. And so Shen Qiao is easily convinced to have not one, but 3 cups of wine with Yan Wushi. Now, Yan Wushi's ulterior motives at this time are not as bad as what you may think. He truly just wants to see a quote-unquote drunken beauty. He wants to see Shen Qiao a little bit flushed, a little bit of that drunken daze in his eyes, and he just wants to, like, take in that beautiful image in his mind. What he does not expect is that when Shen Qiao is drunk, he suddenly covers his face with his hands and is crying. He did not intend to make Shen Qiao cry, but Shen Qiao is so worried about Yan Wushi's fight that he is crying.
Oh my god!
And so Yan Wushi like just immediately pulls his hands off his face to be like, what the hell is happening? And like Shen Qiao calls him like refers to him as his friend, and it's just so sweet, and he can't help but like nuzzle Shen Qiao affectionately. Like seeing him all teary, referring to him as a friend. But he's like, I don't want to be a friend, I want to be more.
Yeah.
But that's all that happens because Shen Qiao falls asleep, and Yan Wushi carries him back to the villa and tucks him in. He may or may not have pressed his sleep acupoint, because when Shen Qiao awakens, he has slept like an entire day and night, and Yan Wushi has already gone off to fight Hulugu. They did not even get to say goodbye.
I can understand Yan Wushi having this whole I gamble my life edgelord thing, but I hope that changes after he knows how much Shen Qiao cares about him. Like, I feel like this fight it's already in motion, like, it has to happen, it's unfortunate, but, like, you can only gamble your life until you lose. Like, it's not, like, he's super lucky that he's, like, I understand the thrill, but, like, can you at least not be so reckless when somebody loves you?
Right? But I truly think that Yan Wushi knows, even though the outcome is truly uncertain and that maybe at best it's 50-50, I think Yan Wushi knows his abilities so much that he's willing to bank on winning.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. That's better than
I don't think he's resigning himself to like a coin toss. I think that he's willing to go into this with Death on the line, having full confidence and faith in his abilities.
Okay.
Even though it truly comes down to like such small details that anything could change the course of it.
Yeah.
Like to everyone else, it's, you know, it could be like, it's a very different perspective he's going in with this. I think Yan Wushi himself is just that kind of indomitable person who is just like, I mean, like, that's like kind of the benefit of him being such like an asshole.
Yeah.
It's like he like is ungovernable. He is only ruled by his own like feelings and sense of self, and like to him, yeah, why shouldn't it be possible? Shen Qiao has to rush up the mountain. Now, Bamboo Peak is like really tall, pointy mountain, and there's not a lot of space on top of it, so people are spectating from like another mountain peak like that is like right next to it. But to get up the mountain, it's like nearly impossible unless you're the best kind of martial artist. And a lot of people like get up almost to the top but can't make it up to the top because there's literally no way to get up there without using qinggong, which is kind of like, you know what it looks like. It's like when martial artists
you
kind
jump
of
from
like
tree to tree.
Yeah, you can basically float through the air and stuff. Now, Shen Qiao is like the best of the best when it comes to this. Like martial arts, he's up there with the best of the best. But when it comes to qinggong, like he's better than Yan Wushi. He's better than anyone.
Nice.
So they this is
parkour.
kind of brought up. Yeah, he's the parkour master. So he goes up there to watch the battle. Now, the battle has been going on for an hour before he arrives. So we are kind of witnessing this, like, not through Shen Qiao's perspective, but, like, once he gets up there, we're finally introduced to, like, what the fight is like. And then it kind of goes into Yan Wushi's and Hulugu's kind of perspectives of the fight and how they're experiencing it. But they've already been fighting for an hour on that tiny little mountain peak.
Okay.
Now, there's so many epic fight scenes in like such detail and like described so magnificently like throughout this book that I feel like my expectations were really, really high for like what this was going to look like. And it ended up being different than what I imagined. Like it almost seems a little bit anticlimactic, but like what we end up seeing of the battle is not like the whole hour beforehand, not like a bunch of flashy, showy things, but kind of the decisive moment, because they are both so powerful and both so like almost flawless in their martial arts that it's almost a stalemate. Like they're both like attacking, but it really truly comes down to who can find an opening first, who can find an imperfection first,
right,
that will allow like one single strike to get through,
right,
and just finish them immediately. And so what we see is kind of the emotional build up of both of them like feeling each other out and just how they compare to each other, and the decisive moment when Yan Wushi finds that opening
Nice.
and attacks Hulugu.
Hell yeah.
So it's truly like that one moment in the fight. And so it's not like something big and flashy. It's not like drawn out for pages and pages, not super epic. It really feels very quiet and subtle. Like you can just hear a pin drop sort of thing. So that was different from what I was expecting. And so at first, like, I honestly felt like a little disappointed. But then when I thought about it, it really felt like really realistic. Because it wasn't just like superficially flashy just for the sake of the reader. Like, I really think when I think about like two martial artists of like their like high standings, like what that would actually look like, it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So yes, so we see Yan Wushi defeat Hulugu, and then Shen Qiao is like looking from that peak, and even in that moment of victory, he realizes that even though Yan Wushi has won, there's no way he could have like won without suffering some severe injuries. And so
he's blind now.
that'd be great. That'd only make it more obnoxious somehow. Like, hold my hand.
Yeah.
I can't see. I need to feel your body. Ai Chao. So someone needs to go and check on him. And so Yan Wushi's disciples are like freaking out. They're like, we have to get all the way down this mountain and up the other one, and that's going to be possible. It's going to take us hours. If there is like something wrong with him,
Is
like,
Shen Qiao gonna jump from the other peak?
he does fucking jump from the other peak. You called it.
I wrote this book.
Okay. It's like I need to stress, it's 2 fucking mountain peaks, and
He's the parkour guy.
he is the parkour guy. He throws a branch into the air, like, whoosh.
Stop! That's so cool.
It's so cool, and everyone thinks it's so cool when they see this. He throws a branch like high speed into the air. It's like got its own like propulsion motion, and he jumps between these 2 peaks. This, and like, it's put well into context that this is like ridiculously insane.
Yeah.
And he leaps off that branch in midair.
That is not how physics work.
It's
That's so awesome, though.
It's so awesome. It is not how physics works at all, but it is how Qigong works.
It's like getting a double jump in Super Smash Bros.
Absolutely. So
That's so funny. Oh my god, that's
and
awesome.
then gets all the way to their peak, which is perfect because in that moment, Yan Wushi collapses into his arms.
Oh.
Yes. And he arrives there in the nick of time, but perhaps still too late because in his arms, Yan Wushi is dead.
Shut the fuck up.
There are no signs of life, no yang energy, no internal energy, no chi, no breathing, like nothing.
Oh my
like,
god.
And Shen Qiao feels like something he's never felt before, like just this indescribable grief. And I just need to sit a moment with that thought because this like Thousand Autumns is a story of Shen Qiao's grief. It is every terrible thing that has ever happened to him, every pain and sadness he has had to feel. And then we reach the end of this book, and Yan Wushi dying is the pain he has never felt before.
Oh.
And he is like holding him in his arms, and he's like trying to feed him medicine, and like, and he breaks down crying over his body, and he says like, look, please wake up, I will do anything, like, if you wake up.
He perks up anything?
That's what happens.
Stop.
He wasn't, I don't think he was faking. He is definitely at death's door.
Okay.
But Shen Qiao got there at the perfect time. Shen Qiao did give him like the Xuandu mountain medicine that is like top, like very special secret recipe.
Oh my god.
And he did like wake up and like like with that lens, like, really?
Really?
And that is where the book ends. The next thing is the epilogue.
No, wait.
Does the
No. That's good. I like that.
Yeah?
I genuinely really like that. Because I feel like you know.
I know it's like Monsters, Inc. I know you like that ending a lot, babe. I do. I get it. Personally, however, I was mega pissed we didn't get Shen Qiao kissing him. We didn't get a little bit of this. We like, come on.
I feel like we didn't need it.
I needed it!
I just feel like, I love that ending,
Isn't that
actually.
great?
I
Isn't that
love
great?
that, yeah.
I do too.
Him feel after it's all the fucking shit he went through, all the even betrayals of Yan Wushi, all of it ended up succumbing to him feeling the indescribable sadness of Yan Wushi's death, and then him not being dead. That's all you needed to know.
However, even though the next chapter is called Epilogue, it doesn't say the end at this part, and the epilogue picks up like right after this, so it doesn't really feel like the end of the book. So now we're kind of getting into, I don't know, the second, like this is only halfway through the volume at this point when like the main story ends and the epilogue starts and all the side stories. But essentially, the story doesn't end here. It continues, but for some reason, it's considered the epilogue. So I'm really not sure what the distinction is.
I think it's because, like, if it's a romance story, in a way, that is kind of like the main story.
We're not done yet. Okay, you're gonna get an epilogue, and you're gonna like, okay, well, I'm gonna talk about the epilogue, and then you're gonna be like, good thing the story didn't end there.
Okay.
Jesus. It's okay, I get it. You're so refined, and you have such delicate literary taste. I, however, am a dirty little heathen, and I will not rest until Shen Qiao gets dicked down. So we're moving onward, okay? Next slide. Next chapter, titled Epilogue, picking right up where we leave off, okay? Yan Wushi sleeps for 3 days, and Shen Qiao is faithfully attending to his bedside with medicine, and he lives. He's fine. He's gonna be fine. Thank God. And it is truly thanks to Shen Qiao having epic Qigong skills to be able to reach him in time, because by the time his disciples would have went up the mountain, he would have been dead for real. Now, he wakes up, and like, right as soon as he regains consciousness, he's like eyes on Shen Qiao, no eyes for anybody else in the room. His disciples are like so freaking happy he's alive. He's like, get out. The first thing he says to them is literally leave. And so then he and Shen Qiao are alone together, and Shen Qiao doesn't even like notice that part. He is just like so happy that Yan Wushi is alive, and he brings up Shen Qiao's promise to do anything, and he's like, the medicine's too bitter, and then kisses Shen Qiao.
Oh my God.
Now, Shen Qiao hesitates to use force because he is injured, so he is thoroughly ravished by this kiss. And then when he finally pushes back, Yan Wushi acts all innocent and wounded and plays the victim, so Shen Qiao can't get mad at him. Yan Wushi also committed some gambling fraud at this time because there were some very extreme bets being placed on whether he would live or die, and he did die.
Oh my God.
And nobody knew.
He did it for the bit so they could win money in both. He had just bets.
A little bit.
Oh my God.
Like, nobody knew where he was for those 3 days, and like there was a mutual acquaintance.
It's like, go collect on my behalf.
The people were like questioning like commentators on the like people who had witnessed, and they're like, do you think Yan Wushi's dead? And like this acquaintance that Yan Wushi had that he had talked to beforehand was like, he sure looked dead.
Yeah.
And Yan Wushi made a lot of money on that.
That's so funny.
And so did that guy. So
that is funny.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, after that kiss, this is so good. It's so good, okay? After the kiss, Shen Qiao truly doesn't know how to face Yan Wushi, okay? He already said what he said, but that doesn't mean that he has made any progress in facing his feelings other than knowing what they are. So he kind of stays away from him as he's recuperating, refuses to see him. He's like, you're fine. You don't need to be right now. And he even plans to return to the Xuandu monastery and like take care of things there. But then he hears from one of Yan Wushi's disciples that Yan Wushi has suddenly taken a turn for the worse.
Oh no.
Oh, and you know, Shen Qiao he's not stupid. He's not gonna fall for it. But he does see like people like running around in a panic. He overhears the conversation that Yan Wushi's taking a turn for the worse. Like his disciple tries to keep it from him.
Yeah. And
he sees like some like blood carried out on clothes, and he freaks out and goes to see Yan Wushi. He's fine, but he's acting all sick. And this time, Yan Wushi ignores him. He gives him the cold shoulder. He's like, I don't need your help. You've done enough for me, Sect Master Shen Qiao.
Oh.
You know, you just go off. Leave me alone. I don't need you. And just acts very cool and distant. And Shen Qiao is rightfully a little bit pissed off.
Yeah.
He's like, after all you did to aggravate me and get my attention, you just turn it off like that, and you, like, how dare you?
Yeah.
So he's a little bit miffed. And so he stomps off, and he kind of gets the idea that him taking a turn for the worse was a bit of a ruse, but he truly feels that Yan Wushi is frustrated with him for how many times that Shen Qiao has rejected him, and that he's finally had enough of him.
Okay.
And Shen Qiao doesn't really know how to deal with that, and so he decides that he's just going to leave and, like, go see another kingdom. He's going to go travel to the kingdom of Chen, actually, and just see what the political climate is like there to kind of get a read on current events. Just girly things, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Is it a soul-searching sort of journey? Maybe.
Okay.
But what we know as the reader, as Shen Qiao leaves Yan Wushi, that Yan Wushi is not that easily put off.
Yeah.
Right? He's not going to be frustrated by Shen Qiao rejecting him. Far from it. But Yan Wushi knows very well that despite Shen Qiao crying over him and wanting him to live more than anything, that his pride is going to get in the way of him acting on his feelings. He knows that Shen Qiao still has, like, personal pride, is like a very, you know, historically chaste cultivator with no experience, and, you know, all of these sort of, like, scandalized principles that he's never going to, like, actually commit to the bit of telling Yan Wushi that he likes him, and even, like, making physical gestures of affection, right?
Yeah.
So Yan Wushi has hatched a little plot. And a part of that is a little bit of reverse psychology, acting cold to him, and making Shen Qiao really think about what he wants. So Shen Qiao takes off to the Chen kingdom, and he ends up running into a little entourage. Like, there's a widow and her daughter that are from a noble family that are traveling with their personal guards, and they're just trying to move from the Chen kingdom to somewhere else. And they invite Shen Qiao to also accompany them because he's a martial artist. He's kind of like a free guard, basically, if he travels with them. So they travel together, and Shen Qiao is there when the company is attacked by bandits in the mountains. And he fights them off with, like, the other guards, but there's, like, an arrow fired at him from behind that he could have deflected because he's obviously a top-tier martial artist.
Yeah.
But before he can even do anything, the young daughter who has a maidenly crush on Shen Qiao throws herself in front of the arrow and is wounded in the shoulder out of love for him.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a whole thing. And so he goes and tends to her wound afterwards. You're not gonna believe where this ends up. And so as he's tending her wound, this very daring young lady says to him, I've been admiring Taoist Master Shen this entire journey and secretly paying attention to him the entire time. I knew that the Taoist Master's heart is as hard as stone and that he holds no such intentions towards me. But life is short, lasting only several decades. Just meeting someone I like is rare enough. For something like this, what's wrong with losing some face? If the Taoist Master were to be moved, then naturally I'd be ecstatic. If the Taoist Master remains unmoved, then at least I haven't betrayed my heart. And Shen Qiao responds, like, quite unexpectedly. He's very shocked by her words, but he says, this little Nyangji's words truly reach the core of Taoism, to do as your heart wishes without restricting yourself. So he's very impressed by her attitude. And she's fine, by the way. Like, shoulder wound, she'll be okay. But of course he's like,
girl chill.
But, you know, after that, he takes a moment to reflect by himself, and he's thinking about her words. And he realizes that what she said to him really, like, awoke something in him. Like, her mentality, you know, like, her Taoist approach to love really spoke to him, and he fully recognizes his feelings for the first time.
Wow.
He admits to himself that he loves Yan Wushi in that way.
It took some girl in the woods for him to fully admit it to himself.
And then, like, the first thing he does is ask for love advice from, like, this random, like, bro traveling with him, like, this guard. He's like, what do you do when you like someone? He's like, what?
Oh my god.
He's like, gives him, like, a bunch of, like, love advice for, like, courting a girl. And Shen Qiao is just like, he's like, you gotta do, like, you gotta show her that you like her. And she's like, I don't know what she likes. Like, oh, girls like flowers and hairpins. I don't know. And
Give Yan Wushi a hairpin.
He's like, I don't know what to
Give him some nipple tassels.
Right? He's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk to her. I think she's mad at me. He's like, if she really likes you, she will forgive you.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. So he gets all this, like, terrible love advice. It doesn't apply to Yan Wushi. But at the very least, like, just this conversation, like, him... Like having this conversation with this random guard character, explicitly talking about, like, romantic love and, like, what to do about his feelings is, like, so wholesome and sweet, and truly is just a way for us to see that Shen Qiao has accepted his feelings.
Yeah.
He might not know how to act on them yet, but it's a huge step in the right direction for him. He went on this whole soul-seeking mission to figure out what to do with his feelings, and he did find the answer. Now, back to Yan Wushi's conniving.
Oh boy.
Little does Shen Qiao know that the widow and daughter that he happened to run into have been hired by Yan Wushi.
It was too much. I knew it.
For the express purposes of delivering this little love speech to him to get him thinking in the right track.
Oh my god.
Yep. Now, taking an arrow wasn't planned, but we get to see, like, the whole conversation where they really are a mother and daughter, and she's like, what? Why the hell did you, like, do that? He's like, I thought he was gonna catch on to me if I, like, didn't fully commit. Like, I had to take an arrow. Okay, Yan Wushi's gonna give us so much fucking money. It's fine. I will recover.
So,
like,
funny. I love that.
Right? There are these, like, I'm sure they're, like, they are martial artists themselves or something.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. So yes, that whole thing was just to, again, further Shen Qiao along in his character development. This is crazy to me. I don't think Shen Qiao ever finds out about that.
That is amazing.
Right? Okay. So he makes it all the way to the Chen Kingdom. There is a whole plot line, and I think it's to kind of just, you know, the world build even further and kind of show the future directions and themes that the nations and surrounding kingdom will go through in the future. But there's an emperor. The Chen Kingdom is strongly Buddhist.
Okay.
But the emperor is a young man who's really interested in Taoist alchemy, the kind of thing that's like you drink a potion and live forever sort of thing.
Okay.
So kind of the woo-woo side of Taoism. So he invites all of these Taoist cultivators inside the palace. And so as Shen Qiao is traveling through, and he wants to know about the emperor personally because, you know, he just finished getting involved with his own kingdom's politics, and he wants to know about the rulers of surrounding nations to see what role they might play in the future. Will they be, like, strong? Will they be weak? Will this lead to war? Will this lead to peace? Etc. So he takes the opportunity to go into this palace. He sees Yan Wushi in there dressed as a Taoist cultivator along with the others, and he's like, what are you doing here? Yan Wushi continues to ignore him, and they end up getting caught by the Empress Dowager, who's a little bit smarter than the Emperor, and also a martial artist herself. She's, like, from the Buddhist sect of martial artists, so she's a little bit at odds with them, but she tries to salvage an embarrassing situation, in which case they're essentially caught in enemy gang territory as gang leaders themselves. So, like, very messy, potentially. They go out to, she invites them to dinner at her palace, and it's, all of this sounds like a lot of information, but we're just kind of exploring the, I guess, political dynamics of this neighboring kingdom, which I guess we do see pop up more in some of the other extras, but don't really have to worry about for the romance element of the story.
Okay.
So, in short, Shen Qiao and Yan Wushi happen to be reunited again, and Shen Qiao follows after Yan Wushi after the dinner, and Yan Wushi is still ignoring him, and Shen Qiao is trying to find the words to tell Yan Wushi that he likes him,
Aww.
and he just realizes that he can't. He can't do it. So instead, what does our boy do but drag Yan Wushi into the nearest alley, cup his face, and give him the most chaste and beautiful little kiss on the mouth.
Oh, I love it. Finally, an actual kiss.
Right?
What's Yan Wushi do? Does he fuck it up somehow?
I see you've also been traumatized by Yan Wushi. Next slide!
It finally happened.
I wonder if you can guess what it is. Anyways, Yan Wushi responds, as he should, with immediately pinning our boy to the wall and kissing him very deeply.
Oh.
And it's a kiss.
Yeah.
It's a whole makeout. Now, I need to point out here, I need both of us to take a deep breath. This is the first time Shen Qiao responds to a kiss.
Right.
Like, he is kissing back.
Yeah.
Character development, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Good for him. Personally, I think Yan Wushi sounds like a terrible kisser. Like, he's an aggressive kisser. But, you know, it takes two to tango. I can't judge. I'm sure it's great. It's kind of funny because, like, Shen Qiao is, like, doesn't really know how to respond to the kiss. So he's trying, but, like, it's a little bit pathetic. And so Yan Wushi kind of ignores his attempts and just keeps...
I mean, he's used to that anyways.
Exactly. So it's kind of funny. But it's amazing. It's the most amazing kiss. And Yan Wushi is also being so handsy. He's just, like, all over him. He's, like, he finally has what he wants. And what he wants is for Shen Qiao to like him back.
Oh.
And... finally, like, Shen Qiao is just, like, a flushed mess underneath him, and Yan Wushi just looks at him and is just like, if I had known this was going to happen here, I would have bought every residence in this alley. Like,
oh my god. Oh
like,
my god.
this would be a private area.
Oh my god.
For us to keep going. And they continue making out until Shen Qiao hears someone approaching with his martial arts spider senses, and he's like tries to be like, okay, someone's coming, calm yourself, but Yan Wushi doesn't stop and like is also like fully capable of making Shen Qiao forget of his own accord that someone is coming. Like they go back to kissing and it's just out of Shen Qiao's mind completely.
Oh my god. They're
but
into each other,
right? And then Yan Wushi does pause, and he immediately plays the victim like, I can't believe
stop
Master Shen is seducing me in public and taking advantage of me in broad daylight. Crazy.
Wow.
And then like when this random guy is like trying to go through the alley, like pops up, and Wushi sends him such a glare that he doesn't even ask, he runs. He's like, I don't know what that guy was on, but he's scary. Goodbye.
Oh my god.
And then he picks up Shen Qiao in a princess carry and carries him off to the nearest inn. Now, Shen Qiao admits to himself internally, this is probably the most shocking thing I read in the whole book, is that he had thought of kissing Yan Wushi hundreds of thousands of times. I don't know at what point the hundreds and thousands of times he imagined was taking place. Like, is it just in his journey to, like, the Chen Kingdom, like, this past few days?
Yeah.
'Cause, like, that'd be a lot of imagining, but I can see it. Or, like, was it kind of just, like, sporadic, intrusive thoughts for a lot longer?
Yeah.
Ever since Yan Wushi started kissing him? Like, I don't know. Like, that was a bold claim, but I believe him.
Okay.
But the point is, he had thought of kissing Yan Wushi hundreds of thousands of times, but still couldn't believe he had the courage to actually do it, even in the smallest respect. And in the same sense, as Yan Wushi is closing in on him again, after they go to the inn and get a room together, he wants to retreat as soon as Yan Wushi comes close to him. He's like, I don't know how I had the courage to do that once.
Oh my god.
But I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm too shy. But Yan Wushi grabs him by the waist, pulls off his waist belt, shoves him against the table, and it fades to black.
Oh my gosh.
And there is one line about how downstairs the innkeeper can hear the rattling of their fighting all the way from downstairs. And then the chapter ends. Like, the story ends. Like, that's it. That's all we get. Because the next story gives me complete and total whiplash. It's a complete side story in which Shen Qiao, at some indeterminate point in the future, wakes up.
Once upon a time in a post-dick down Shen Qiao society. What the absolute hell is going on here? Okay, so that was like the epilogue.
That was the epilogue.
And now these are like the extras?
And whiplash. Absolute whiplash. I am reading the next page being like, okay, what happened next? What happened next? And Shen Qiao wakes up as a 6-year-old with all of his 6-year-old memories and nothing else.
This is such a Danmei trope, though.
Right? It's like, this is at some indeterminate point in the future when he's back at Xuandu Sect.
Okay.
And, like, we do have, like, the impression that, like, you know, that he and Yan Wushi are, like, an item and everything's as normal. He's a sect leader. But this is just the random story of when he turned into a 6-year-old.
What if it's like, maybe in the original publication, it's like the other one was the end and everyone was like so satisfied with the end, and then it was like, and here's like a little side extra, which is kind of like the fan fiction thing.
We will get into...
You're so mad and I love it.
I'm so mad.
Oh
but
my God.
You know what? It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
It's gonna be okay.
Okay.
It's the chronology of these extras that really just put you through the ringer. It is like Yan Wushi has decided the order of the extras to antagonize the reader as much as possible. I'm assuming that's it. That's all we're going to see of, you know, Yan Wushi, Shen Qiao sexy times. Thanks for that. I'm glad they made it this far, but what the absolute hell?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go through this story, okay?
Okay.
Shen Qiao wakes up. He's 6 years old. He only has his memories as a 6-year-old, so he's very confused. And he just wants to see his Shizun. He wants his master, who is nowhere to be found.
Aww.
The whole sect is enchanted with him and spoils him. They're like, this is so weird. Don't have any idea how to solve this. Not important, not a priority. He's so cute. I just want to give him candy and toys and just snuggle him. He's so cute. There's the other disciple of Chifunga, who was a woman, like an elder sister figure. She's so sweet. Like Gu Hengbo, I think is her name. Gives him a stuffed rabbit toy because she knows he used to sleep with a stuffed rabbit when he was little.
Cute.
And that just killed me. Just imagine some little stuffy going to sleep with it.
That's cute.
I am unwell. And Yan Wushi shows up at the mountain, as he is wont to do. Yan Wushi sees him, gets cuteness aggression, and immediately kidnaps him. And I want to say kidnap because he knocks out the 6-year-old child and absconds with him.
Stop.
He's like, I want to just take him out on the town. I think he's neat. Of course, Shen Qiao is like a little bit like, not terrified, but like, who is this strange man? And why will you not just take me to my teacher? That's all I want. But he's like, don't worry. I'll take you to see your master. You just have to like come along with me for a little bit. And he's like, okay. And he's a very well obedient little child. And so Yan Wushi gets him like some of that like candy, you know, it's like the candy you can like mold into shapes. And he has it like shaped like his master. He's like, see, I showed you your master. And Shen Qiao is so disappointed that he like wants to cry. And then he does cry when Yan Wushi bites off the shoulder of his candy. And so
Yan Wushi is bad with kids, as I could have assumed.
He's not only bullying this child, but he literally stole candy from a baby. Think about that. This man stole candy from a baby. And so only when Shen Qiao is actively crying does he remember that this is a child and not the adult grown man he's used to teasing, who will not cry at a normal, reasonable point. And so he does regret his actions a little bit, you know, kind of like, maybe I should try to get Shen Qiao back. But it wasn't a simple case of transformation, because the Shen Qiao we know and love has been transported back to the past. And so it's actually a switch.
Oh, what? Okay.
I know, isn't this crazy? So he has been switched to the point in time in which he was 6 years old. So he wakes up and he realizes that very quickly kind of like where he is and that something is off at Xuandu Mountain, and he sees that there's a light under the door of his Shizun, who is, of course, dead as far as he knows. And this is such a lovely scene. I can absolutely understand why this scenario was created just for this scene. But Shen Qiao like approaches the door, and his master of course hears his footsteps and opens the door and sees him, and Shen Qiao is able to tell him that, like, don't really know what happened, but, like, I'm Shen Qiao from the future. And his master immediately believes him and accepts him and is happy to see him.
Oh, that's sweet. That's so healing.
Yeah, and Shen Qiao is very emotional at being able to see him, and he just enjoys spending time with his master. They go down together to the village beneath the mountain where there's a festival, and they walk together and they talk together.
Aww.
And Qifengge buys him a lantern that looks like a rabbit, and Shen Qiao holds it and he won't let go of it, and it makes his master laugh like you're still so childish, like how is this possible? And he's just like, it's because you gave it to me, I'm so happy.
Stop, that's so sweet.
And so it's a very healing, beautiful moment just where he's able to spend time with someone that he loved so much. And kind of like a supernatural involuntary sort of sleepiness overcomes him, and he falls asleep underneath a tree. And when he wakes up, he's back in the present with Yan Wushi.
You see Yan Wushi.
Yeah, basically Yan Wushi's there. And there you have it, all is well. And that's where the extra ends, and it seems very startling, but instead of really taking it as like, this is like a very like canon thing that happens, and like somehow this time travel magic which randomly occurred with no explanation is possible in this universe, like that's not the take to make here. No. It's just a side story that with a premise that allowed for that scene to happen.
Sure.
And it's really nice that, like, how else would we get like an adult Shen Qiao with his Shizen again?
Of course.
Like, that's just a really sweet scene. However, I don't know why it was placed right here, because if I had the opportunity to read through this for the first time again, I would have temporarily skipped over this particular side story and gone to the next one, because the next one picks up the morning after Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao bang, which is a little bit more important to me.
That is weird.
Yeah. So again, I don't know if like these were, published in the order they were originally published online, in like the original translation and whatnot, and it's just kind of a matter of what was literally written first versus like chronologically, because chronologically it bounces around all over the place. But after that story, which is titled Young Again, there is Side Story 1. Now, Side Story 1 is not so much a side story, but a continuation of the epilogue. Like, it picks up like immediately after, like the morning after they bang for the first time, which is finally the scene I was waiting for. This is where I wanted it to go. This is where I wanted it to end. I needed to see this. Once again, extreme whiplash.
Mm-hmm.
But we're back. We're back in the inn. It's the morning after. Yan Wushi is tenderly, sappily gazing at Shen Qiao as he sleeps deeply, which is notable because he very rarely sleeps, and when he sleeps, it is not deeply. But that is because
he's worn out.
He is worn. Our boy is worn out. And as he gazes at him, he gently okay, close your eyes, you're Shen Qiao. You're sleeping. Okay, he gently brushes his eyelashes. A little bit weird, but okay. And then he grazes down the bridge of his nose. He resists the urge to pinch his nose. And then he touches his lips to kind of stretch them out flat. And then he squishes them together into duck lips.
Oh my god.
And then he finally leaves him alone.
Wow. He's like, ha 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 ha. Intrusive thoughts win.
Truly. Okay. And then he's taking care of everything. Okay. So he like prepares, like he kind of talks to like the concierge and like puts in an order for breakfast. He sends the man out to get some scrolls for light reading. So by the time Shen Qiao wakes, he sees that breakfast is ready, and Yan Wushi's just kind of reading leisurely next to the bed. And Shen Qiao immediately covers himself with the covers and like tries to get dressed under the covers.
Oh my gosh.
Like, modest king. He is struggling. And then he realizes he can't find his pants. And he's like, Yan Wushi, where are my pants? And he's like, my beloved, they were soiled, so I sent the innkeeper out to go get you some new ones. And he's like, you told the innkeeper to get me new pants?
Oh my god.
That is so embarrassing. And he's like, how did he know my measurements? He's like, I know your measurements.
Oh my god, of course.
And so Shen Qiao is stuck there without any pants. He's very embarrassed, and Yan Wushi is, of course, only taking the opportunity to tease him more. He brings up how he called him Yang Lang so many times, like countless times in the night.
And he came in his own pants.
Yep. And even crying his name. He's like, oh yes, you were so cute. Just crying out my name, Yang Lang.
Oh my gosh.
And Shen Qiao is just so embarrassed, he can't even gather his wits, and Yan Wushi, while he has him flustered, immediately launches into a casual discussion of marriage. He's like, of course I'll marry into your family. It's a little complicated that neither of us are women, but small detail. Because naturally I'm going to marry into your family because my venerable self likes you. What's losing a little face when I like you so much?
Stop!
And Shen Qiao he's just such an upstanding young man. He's just such a good, noble person that when Yan Wushi is like, you're going to take responsibility, right? like he actually helplessly agrees.
Yeah.
And there is this beautiful line, just how Shen Qiao is well aware that their relations were fully consensual and that they can't be shoved onto one person. Like, he can't just, like...
Yan Wushi did not do this to me.
Right. Yes. He can't even just, if it would alleviate his embarrassment, he can't just blame it all on Yan Wushi.
He's like,
and move
I
on with
was
his life.
a nasty girl last night.
Yep. So he helplessly kind of agrees to take responsibility to Yan Wushi in this moment. And I just thought it was so funny because I was assuming Yan Wushi was horny. I think now, in retrospect, Yan Wushi took the first opportunity to trap him in marriage. Like, he's like, I see my opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make this man my wife. And he did.
Actually, he made himself his wife.
He made himself his wife. It's true. They had that entire conversation about marriage while Shen Qiao was pantsless until Yan Wushi brings it up again. And Shen Qiao finally, like, says, look, at least call me Qiao instead of Shen Long, because that's just too embarrassing, you know? It's like... And Yan Wushi has to fuss a little bit, like, oh, you won't call me Yan Long, and I can't call you Shen Long, so you're just being so unfair about this.
Right.
But he accepts, and he finally puts his new pants on under the covers and can move on with his day. And Yan Wushi has one last laugh at his expense because our poor Shen Qiao has put on his pants backwards. End of the extra.
Wow.
So it's just a very cute scene that kind of shows where that night led them, and it's very wholesome.
That should have been with the other scene.
I know. I feel like that would have made so much more sense to just shove all that together and then, you know, move on to the side stories. So I'm assuming it has something to do with just how they were written. There are still more extras and side stories that cover both the distant past and years into the future. They bounce around a lot chronologically, and sometimes it's kind of hard to make sense of why they were included. But my overall impression is that 1,000 Autumns is truly such a large story, and I know the author put such care and detail into world building and had such a detailed understanding of all the characters that extended like far beyond the scope of the story. Mm-hmm. And so these little bits and pieces, I think, are just kind of fragments of how the author envisioned the story in the longer term.
Yeah.
So I will try to breeze through some of this, but still give an idea of what they're about. Two of the side stories that follow. First, I'm going to go over like the romantic bits and then how the actual plot, political side of things. So in the first side story after that, it shows Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao together years into the future. They're doing well. Yan Wushi is casually licking his entire ear and touching him when Shen Qiao is trying to have a normal conversation with him. They're in the garden, and Yan Wushi just teases him until Shen Qiao can't take it anymore, and he just picks him up like a princess and carries him inside. Next short story.
That's it?
Well, no. There's a whole bunch of unrelated plot stuff that's going on at the same time, but I'm going over the juicy bits first.
Oh, okay. Ear licking. Got it.
Yes. Okay. Okay, and then in the next story, some highlights include Yan Wushi referring to himself as Shen Qiao's husband.
Wait, you didn't say licking his entire ear and touching his no square.
I said he was touching him.
You didn't say that.
Listen, Those are notes for my own personal reference. I don't need to say...
Is he touching him or is he touching him?
Well, he's okay. He's touching him over his clothes.
But, like, his dick.
Yeah, his no square.
You didn't say that! I'm like, oh, he's touching him here?
Oh, no.
Oh my god, okay.
Well, kind of in that position. Like, Shen Qiao is just trying to have a normal conversation with him, like, drinking tea in the garden. He's just all up, like, fondling him everywhere, and then just teases him until he takes Shen Qiao inside.
Wow.
Or you know what. But then in the other story, Yan Wushi refers to himself as Shen Qiao's husband, explicitly.
Nice.
Feeds him soup. Not good soup. A really dumb soup. It's called Unity soup, and it has a bunch of weird ingredients in it. It's not Yan Wushi's fault that it's weird, but it was some sort of weird soup that someone gave to the emperor to celebrate the unity of the nation, and it sucked ass. I don't know why the soup was so important, but anyways, there's this kind of cute idea that it doesn't matter how used to Yan Wushi he just is still so weak to teasing that Yan Wushi always has a good time. Their conversations include a lot of "that's not what you said last night" sort of sentences. And it does sound like every night is every night, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
So, and also Yan Wushi is so sappy about his smile.
Shen Qiao couldn't keep a straight face. He laughed and his eyes curved into crescents, a sight to melt the heart. Even if a tempest raged around them, as long as someone saw this smile, no challenge would feel too great and the world around them would seem to warm. That was what Yan Wushi thought.
Aww.
It's very sweet. So those are just like years into the future, a couple of interactions between them. Now, in these two side stories, there is also a ton of details about what the nation is currently up to, the kind of political intrigues going on, and that's juxtaposed in their conversations and interactions with other characters. So just to cover that really quickly. Okay, so the Emperor, Puliurajian, is doing a good job. He's changed the process to become public officials, allowing commoners to take the exams. He's pissed off the nobility a little bit with that one, but he has Yan Wushi to kind of check their power a little bit by just being such a badass martial artist that they don't want to like upset the power balance against them. So he's pissed off the nobility with that change, but he uses Yan Wushi's presence, his kind of allyship with him, as a deterrent against the nobles uprising against him. So that's still working well. He balances Buddhism with Taoism and Confucianism in the country. Like, he's showing favor to all of them a little bit and allowing that kind of tolerance between them to thrive. And with that, he's stealing a lot of like martial talent from the south. The nation is growing more stable and powerful, and so people in the south want to come to their country, you know. And the southern country might go to war with them in the future because of that instability and shift in power. So these are all things that are kind of facing them in the future. Now, there is an issue of the next generation of leadership, because while the current emperor is all right, you know, what really matters is what's going to happen when he inevitably passes the crown down to one of his sons. Now, the crown prince, the one he's already announced will become emperor after his reign, is the eldest son, who is not the brightest bulb in the box or whatnot. He's not very strong-willed or exceptionally talented, but he more or less will probably try to follow in his father's footsteps at the very least, so he's not a bad pick. However, even though he's the crown prince, his parents openly favor the younger son in every possible way. And the younger son is named Yang Guang, and he is the little boy who killed Chang'e back in the day. And his personality has remained the same ever since. He's a very aggressive, ruthless person who, you know, believes that he is above others, and as an emperor would likely be very ambitious, might do a lot of good things, but his ambition would probably drive the country into more instability. So he is definitely a threat to the future of the nation, whether he realizes it or not. And this is something that Shen Qiao and Yan Wushi are aware of and trying to come to terms with, in a sense, knowing that chaos will probably visit their nation again in the future, after all they did to put it in a stable place. So they interact with him a little bit. He is very close to a Buddhist martial artist named Yu Xiu, And they randomly drop that he and Yushu might be banging. Like, they might be a couple. They just randomly drop that. Like, Yan Wushi's like, oh yeah, they definitely banging. And Shen Qiao's like, really? I have no idea. We don't even see them together after that. It's just like one, like, moment where they appear together to talk to Shen Qiao.
Okay.
But Yushu has Gokturk ancestry and is connected to this noble lady who has a grudge against the crown family. And, like, there's this ton of information regarding how he's essentially a plant to steer Yangguang on the wrong path or to be used against him later, that it's just already looking very precarious. There's already pawns in place. There's just so much at stake, even years into the future, like when things could go wrong. So why do we have all this information, like, in these side stories? I think it's interesting. I think it's nice to know what kind of goes on in the future. But one thing we get is that Shen Qiao, even though he's faced with uncertainty about the long-term stability of the nation, he's also at peace knowing that all things change. And good or bad, you don't know to what end things will arrive. And even if chaos comes, chaos is also, like, a necessary, inevitable part of life. Like, there will always be war, there will always be famine. These aren't things that you can simply avoid by not wanting to happen or trying to put them off for as long as possible. So he is at peace, even despite having intervened in the past and, feeling compelled to care and to try his best to, make things better for the common people. He also isn't, like, driving himself crazy with worry over these things. There's very, very Taoism about it. Mm-hmm. And there's also another scene with Shen Qiao and UI in the past where they're just so cute together and they talk about, like, their dreams for the future and how they want to go off the mountain. And Shen Qiao says he wants to fight bad guys and help good guys. And his master is like, how will you be able to tell the bad guys apart from the good guys, But he doesn't burst his bubble, even though he has a very simplistic view of the world as a child. It's also a really sweet parallel because Shen Qiao says that he wants to do these things, but then he says, but after 1 month I'll come back because I'll miss Shizun and I'll miss my brothers. And to me, like, thrown in with this story, it's really cute to see, like, how even though he was very ambitious and wanted to do good as a child, ultimately he still, like, cared the most of the people closest to him.
Yeah,
and just wanted to be happy and live happily with them. And so that's kind of also where he's at with his sect and Yan Wushi and having these people that he cares about. And, it kind of shows that, like, his intervention in the past was, like, at such an extreme level, but he's also taking a little bit of a step back for now and letting things play out. He's not trying to pull a Shelia and save everybody all the time.
Yeah, he went out for 1 month, put in the new emperor, and then he's going to come back and be with his family.
Right. It doesn't mean that that's the end of his involvement, but he definitely still, prioritizes that. Now, at this point, it says the end. That's the crazy thing to me, is that at this point, there's actually in big capital letters, the end. Again, the chronology of things is a little bit all over the place, but we'll go over the other side stories as well.
It should have been titled 1,000 Orphans. It should have been titled 1,000 Extras.
It's true. Okay. We have 2 more side stories. They both have orphans in common, so I'm going to talk about them together. So, years into the future, it is as Shen Qiao and Yan Wushi anticipate, Yangguang becomes the emperor and immediately declares war on a neighboring kingdom and then massacres the richest family in that kingdom in an attempt to get all of their wealth. And as a result, the sole survivor of that clan, a boy named Yin Chuan, goes on the run from a bunch of different sects and soldiers and everybody that is trying to find his family's fortune, and they think he is the key. So he is running through the Gobi Desert trying to save his life, and he runs into attackers and nearly dies, but then Shen Qiao happens upon him and saves him, and Yan Wushi follows up shortly afterwards. So it's like they're traveling together, but also kind of like, appearing in separate. I think Yan Wushi is like, you left me behind at the inn.
Like, and now you got into trouble, Shen Qiao. What am I going to do with you? So it's like very cute that they're traveling together years into the future. And then Shen Qiao's like, look, I found a guy. And he's like, now we're going to be third wheeled all the way back to the kingdom. This is ridiculous. Shen Qiao promises to take this boy to Linchuan Academy to meet a martial arts master there who excels in painting, because this boy isn't martially talented, but he is a good painter. And so he's very excited. And so they're going to travel together back there. And it's just this boy watching them bicker like a married couple. And it's just a peek 10 years into the future when, you know, some of these things they anticipated have already come to life. And as for the secrets to this family's fortune, he says it was all gambled away and he really is innocent of knowing anything. So, yeah, it's kind of a random story, but Shen Qiao and orphans, what do you expect, right? Mm-hmm. But the next story has an almost identical setup. There is a young boy running away from his pursuers, this time through a forest. But he has stolen a parcel from a group of traveling martial artists of what he thinks is flatbread to feed his orphaned siblings, and they are chasing him. They are chasing him like you would hunt someone for sport instead of just, like, they're not trying to get him and the package back. They're trying to get him to lead them back to something. So there's already something strange going on. So this boy hides in a broken down temple where there happens to be a Taoist cultivator hanging out with a little fire. May or may not be Shen Qiao. And these martial artists show up and they pick him up and they're going to strangle him. And Shen Qiao's like, none of that now. And it turns out that the parcel is not full of bread, but is a Japanese sword that has a treasure map on it.
Okay.
And the martial artists are Japanese cultivators from Japan.
Okay.
That have been on the run with the sword they stole, looking for the treasure. And Yan Wushi shows up fashionably late, claiming that he's only been gone for 12 days before Shen Qiao once again found trouble. And just like the last story, he glares so powerfully at the orphan child that it's like, in each case, they try to, like, hide behind Shen Qiao and, like, might, like, touch him even, and just Yan Wushi's like, get your hands off my man. So, like, no one is safe from Yan Wushi's jealousy. His arrival, of course, you know, really scares the martial artists, and between the two of them, they defeat those martial artists very easily and get the real story out of them. And the sword itself, however, is fake, and they were using it as bait so they can move the real sword without getting followed. So, kind of a random story, but this time it showcased, like, the hardships of the common people, like, under, like, a new emperor who's not managing things very well. And it also shows that Yan Wushi and Shen Qiao have been traveling together, and how Yan Wushi is a total meddler, and that he loves messing with other people's schemes and coming out on top of them. So he ends up, like, doing good things, but only because he wants to control chaos and ruin other people's chaos and evil plans. So and there's this really good line about how he may have wicked intentions, but he doesn't always do wicked things. And so he and Shen Qiao, of course, are able to get along and do many things together for that reason. And he always takes care of Shen Qiao. So just another orphan story showing what they're up to in the future.
Speaking of orphans, I've only had Shen Qiao for a minute and a half, but if anyone tried to eat him, I would destroy their martial arts and adopt him immediately.
So funny story about how Qifengge happened to meet Shen Qiao. It also occurred in a rundown temple during a time of chaos for the common people. So, back in the day, there was a terrible drought and famine, and many people were suffering, and Qifengge was traveling through the countryside, and he stays in a broken down temple where he finds a little boy hiding in a big pot. And he opens up the pot, and there's Shen Qiao, who is scared and all alone, but he does look like he once came from a good family, though he is most likely an orphan now.
Okay.
So this is just a time of complete chaos. People are starving and doing terrible things, so it's not really known what happened to his family.
Famine stuff.
famine stuff.
And Chifeng gives him some food, and Shen Qiao is just a very polite, intelligent young child. And then these two Hehuan demonic cultivator disciples show up into the temple, and they immediately demand that he hand over that kid so that they can eat him. Give us that succulent little morsel right there. Now, this seems a little bit much, but at this point it was probably pretty common for people to, like, eat children.
Yeah. Okay.
Chifeng is not going to do that, and so we
eat the ugly orphans.
So he, like, holds him. It's, like, very much like Shelian Hunger. Like, he holds him in his arms and, like, fights off the martial artist without even drawing his sword. And, like, Shen Qiao's just holding his sword in arms, being like, oh, you're so cool. And he then destroys their martial arts, being like, literally, like, if you're gonna eat children, you're not allowed to do martial arts.
Wow, okay.
He's like, I draw the line there. Then Yan Wushi shows up. I kid you not. He is a young man at this point in time.
Stop. So they actually met?
They actually met. Wow. On the same day that Shen Qiao met his Shizun, he also met Yan Wushi. He just didn't realize it. I'm not entirely sure if either of them have put together that they have met.
It's like finding out you're both in the same Disneyland picture.
Yeah. But Yan Wushi shows up, and he's not part of the sect, but he does owe a favor to the master of these guys. Like, they're disciples of this guy, and Yan Wushi owes that guy a favor.
Okay.
You know? So it's that sort of situation where he's like, hey, I owe their master a favor. You already destroyed their martial arts. Can you just not kill them? Mm-hmm. And that way I can call it even with that guy. And he ends up sparring with Yan Wushi, which is really cool. Mm. And they exchange praise for each other, which is also unexpected. Like, they both are like Chifeng is like, wow, you're really talented. Like, at your age, I definitely, like, wasn't that far along. You're definitely gonna, like, shake the world. And Yan Wushi was like, you're not so bad yourself. Like, you're pretty cool. And after that, Chifeng is like, since I already destroyed their martial arts, and I destroyed, like, the tendons of the swordsmen, like, if they promise not to harm innocent civilians, I will let them go. And Yan Wushi's like, thanks, you're a real one. In the event that one of your disciples ever needs help, my newly founded sect will help them. One time. He's just like, just one time.
Okay.
But he does promise to offer his disciples help in the future if they need it. It's like a little IOU card in exchange for doing him a solid, which is really interesting because it makes me wonder, like would he have thought of that at all? Like, when he, like, first met Shen Qiao, like, we obviously don't get that in the story. He just kind of picked him up and, like, this will be fun to fuck with this guy, and takes off with him. But, like, was that promise part of
why he did
it? It kind of makes you wonder. Because, like, what other time would there have been?
Yeah.
But as Yan Wushi's leaving, he's like, hey, that kid you got there, he has really good martial arts aptitude. If you don't want him, I'll take him. He's like, there was
Yan Wushi could have been his dad.
Yan Wushi, like, Shen Qiao could have been his disciple. Can you imagine how crazy that would be?
Oh my god.
We would have gotten an Araha type story, but with evil Shen Qiao.
Damn.
Oh my gosh.
So close to being a shizen fucker.
Anyways, Chifeng, like, it's written in the text that he already loves Shen Qiao, and of course doesn't give him up. So we didn't get that story. Now, this would be a good time to read the Young Again extra story, because it will really hit you right in the feels, because you just got to hear how Shen Qiao met his master. But yeah. There you go.
Your gripe with the order of the extras is so funny to me.
It's just such a wild ride. Like, who did this? Yan Wushi? I swear.
Finally, Yan Wushi's tragic backstory. Just kidding, he was always like this.
Now, reading through this book, especially in the earlier volumes, I was always holding out that there would be this big reveal with Yan Wushi's backstory, like, especially with his other, like, personalities and stuff. Like, I'm like, there has to be something there that's just really connects the pieces on why he is the way that he is. And we got a whole extra story just kind of detailing the story of how he started from nobody and became, like, this grand master of demonic cultivation, so to speak. And there's no trauma. There's no drama.
He's just like that.
He's just like that. And so what happened was, he was like a prodigy swordsman from like a young age, and he came from like some kind of noble family, and they just, they didn't really care about elevating him in particular, and he was like, this town ain't big enough for me, and he just left home at a young age, and he was too ambitious to just be contained by the fate allotted to him, so he made a name for himself in the martial arts world by just defeating powerful martial artists in like sword fights without like really having developed martial arts like internally yet.
Okay.
Just like in pure sword fighting. And he didn't take any master, and he didn't join any sect. And then he discovered demonic cultivation, and he still didn't take a master, and he didn't join any sect, but he just took to demonic cultivation like a fish to water, is what the text says. And it's like, it was just perfect for him. This idea of like, do what you want, follow your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really bound by any sort of like law or order, just the sort of made up ideals or morality that didn't really appeal to him. And then he started crafting his prestige by killing other demonic cultivators. And to be fair, he didn't really just, murder people unprompted, but within demonic cultivation, of course, there's a lot of internal power struggles, and so people would try to control him or kill him, and then he would, Uno reverse them and kill them back.
Yeah.
and created quite a name for himself that way. And so that's how he became famous as a demonic cultivator. It was just a very normal
He always had
backstory.
that dog in him.
He had that dog in him.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, got that going for him. Oh my god, I forgot what the next slide. I know what the next slide is.
Yan Wushi is canon?
I shit you not. If you would like to explain how you understand Yan Wushi, where Yan Wushi comes from, I will explain to you how it is canon.
Wasn't it a misspelling in our Gartic phone game? Briarbox said that damn book with Yan Wushi or whatever.
Yeah, so just a simple autocorrect mistake in one of our live streams invented the concept of Yan Wushi. I'm here to tell you that Yan Wushi's fucking canon. It's fucking canon. Okay, and I'm going to read to you what happened. You might be wondering, how is this possible? I'm about to tell you. Yan Wushi is telling Shen Qiao all about his backstory and talking about how, there were so many demonic cultivators who wanted to take him as a disciple, but he rejected all of them. He took no master, and Shen Qiao is commenting on that. It's like, oh, yeah, you rejected, like, that's odd that you would reject him. And Shen Qiao replied, if I didn't reject him, wouldn't I have to change my name? Shen Qiao couldn't help but laugh. It would indeed be terribly awkward for Yan Wushi to change his name to Yan Wushi.
Stop! Are you fucking kidding me?
Because Yoshi means has a master, as opposed to Wushi's meaning of has no master.
Show me Yoshi. Oh my god. We need to call Briarbox right now. Holy shit, that is so funny.
When I read
am
this,
shocked. That is so that's become such an inside joke in like my members only community. That is so funny. It's
canon Yan Wushi. What are the odds of that happening? That was the thing. That wasn't his original name, but when he like defeated like his first guy in a sword fight, they're like, who the hell are you? And he's like,
I'm Yan no fucking master. That's who I am.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
Not to be confused with Yan Wushi. They're almost through the extras. There's one last extra, and then there's like the mini extras.
My birthday extra is all about how you love me so much and I am the light of your life. I hope your birthday extra is cute too. I dreamt about that time a random guy I met massacred his whole family to fuck his sister. Fuck your pears. Humanity is inherently evil.
Yeah, you read that right. It's his birthday. He doesn't actually know when his real birthday is, but the day that Chifunga found him is the day that, like, he now considers his birthday, and that was the first day of autumn.
Aww.
Right? And
he's 1,000 years old now.
which I thought tied in really, really lovely with the title and just the concept of 1,000 autumns. Just,
What's the concept again?
I think 1,000 autumns is just like shit happens,
Right.
you know?
Okay.
I forget the original, if there's original saying or whatnot, but it's like, I don't know, a lot can happen in 1,000 autumns.
Yeah.
Things change, things stay the same. Shen Qiao is like a very chill person, and he doesn't really, like, he doesn't want a lot of attention, and so his birthday is like something like he really doesn't want a lot of fuss on. But of course, his whole sect is excited to celebrate him, and so they put on like a whole bunch of celebrations. And this extra is truly just about Yan Wushi's feelings about Shen Qiao on his birthday. Yan Wushi knows him intimately, and the book just describes how even though he knows him intimately, he will never be satisfied. He will always want to explore Shen Qiao more and more, and that Shen Qiao's birthday is the most special day of the year to Yan Wushi because he used to not care about anything. Like, he didn't care if it was fucking autumn or not. Like, he didn't care about the seasons. He didn't care about the passage of time. He didn't care about any person. But now there's one person that he cares about. And so, in his heart, like, the most important day of the year is Shen Qiao's birthday.
That's really
That's
sweet.
the most romantic thing ever. It's so sweet. Meanwhile, Yan Wushi's birthday is New Year's Day, by the way. And on the night before his birthday, he has a dream about something that happened to him when he was a lot younger, when he was just kind of getting started, just making a name for himself in the martial arts world. One day he was just walking along and he happened to hear some disturbances in like a nearby manor, and so he walked in and found a whole family massacred, and there was only one survivor, a boy named Hong Wen, and this is a martial arts family. And so Hong Wen begged him to save him and said, in exchange, I will like show you like my family's like secret vault, you know, with all their like martial arts techniques and money and wealth. You know, the vault's already been emptied, so that was kind of useless. And then Hong Wen like disappears from his care like 3 days later. And so Yan Wushi was like, okay, that was weird. Then, a bit later, Hong Wen publicly denounces Yan Wushi and blames him for taking advantage of his family's massacre to like steal his family's treasures, which is not what happened. Yan Wushi has had the upper hand of the situation all along because he already has figured out the truth of what happened when he explored through the manor and found some secret things. So he is already prepared for this betrayal before it even happens.
Okay.
What really happened, Hong Wen was besties with a demonic cultivator named Coup Yowang. And Hong Wen had a secret. He was attracted to his younger sister and super jealous that she had a fiance.
Okay.
And his bestie, being a demonic cultivator, was like, I know how you could solve this problem. You could kill your whole family except for her, and then she'll have no one to rely on, and you can abscond with her, and she won't have anyone else to depend on, and you could do whatever you want to her. And he was like, yeah, that seems like a good plan. And so his bestie went ahead and massacred his family for him. And in the chaos, however, his younger sister, like, you know, threw herself in front of her mother to defend her and died. So, like, the whole family ended up dying, and his plan, thankfully, came to no good end for him. And yeah, after his plan was foiled due to that, he had to improvise when Yan Wushi unexpectedly came upon him, and may have gotten away with it if Yan Wushi hadn't looked around for the secret vault, which of course had already been emptied, and found a secret room full of paintings of his younger sister that he had stashed away.
Weird.
Very weird. And so when Hong Wen started publicly blaming Yan Wushi, he just like released all of the paintings. It was like, you're weird, you're fucking weird, you're gross. And he also like made a deal with Coup Yowang, like Hong Wen's bestie, to throw him under the bus with that. So all in all, Yan Wushi, like even early on, was very capable of dealing with betrayal and coming out on top by trusting no one. So that was a very weird story, and it's like these characters, like Hong Wen is just a character that appears for the story. Like, he's not connected to anything else. Like, Yo Wang is a demonic cultivator that is a pretty present character later on, but otherwise it's just kind of a random story, and it's a very weird one to end on. That's like the last extra. But he remembers the story, and so it's kind of a story within a story, and the story that this is taking place in is that he and Shen Qiao are together, as they always are, and Shen Qiao comes home with a basket of pears. And the basket of pears is from the pear farmer down the road, who has had a very bad year, and his harvest wasn't very good. And Shen Qiao, because he could help, wanted to help, and bought his pears that, were mostly like rotten or damaged or not very good. And Yan Wushi, being the devil's advocate, if not the devil himself, is like, why would you do that?
Maybe that guy wants to fuck his sister.
He assumes the worst in people, and so he's like, that farmer, like, even if you help him now, it doesn't mean that nothing bad's ever gonna happen to him in the future. You've just, like, given him a crutch, and now he'll think he can rely on you to fix his problems in the future, and he's just gonna expect more things from you, and, like, yada yada, and he's like, people are bad, and you're dumb for helping them.
Wow.
And you can kind of see that maybe this mentality had an opportunity to develop, over time through his own experiences of people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Shen Qiao has also experienced people betraying him and still has this mentality of, if I can help, I should.
Yeah.
So what I really like is that they have never changed the core of their beliefs for each other. They've made some exceptions or expanded their beliefs to include one another, but, Yan Wushi still very much believes what he believes and has never changed how he views all of humanity just because he likes one guy. And Shen Qiao has never stopped believing that he should help people.
What is Shen Qiao's reaction when Yan Wushi says that?
It's a good question. You see, it's Yan Wushi and him often make bets on these situations regarding whether or not people end up being good or bad, or whether or not a favor ends up being repaid or leads to you getting fucked over.
Okay.
Like, which is kind of funny to think about, that something so serious is now a game between them.
Yeah.
And so Yan Wushi wants to make a bet over this, and Shen Qiao's like, I don't think we should. And he's like, that's because I'll win. And then the pear farmer shows up, and he's like, Sect Master Shen, you took the wrong basket of pears. Like, those ones, like, weren't supposed to be sold. Like, you took the rotten ones. He's like, and Shen Qiao's like, sell the good ones. Like, like, these are fine. Like, you sell the good pears at a price and make more money.
Yeah.
And he's like, absolutely no, I just couldn't accept that. I couldn't live with myself knowing that you did that.
Yeah.
It's, and so he forces a basket of good pears on Shen Qiao, and finally, like, leaves after that. And so Shen Qiao, like, kind of, like, shrugs at Yan Wushi, like, you would have lost the bet. You're lucky that I didn't, like, trick you into taking the bet. You would have lost.
Does Yan Wushi eat a pear?
He doesn't eat a pear.
Oh, that would have been so good at the end!
But it's funny because the reason why Shen Qiao doesn't make a bet with him is because he knows if Yan Wushi loses a bet, that he's gonna be mad that he lost the bet and be even more annoying and make him regret winning.
Wow. That's so funny.
So they are still at odds, but
you can have a differing outlook as your canceled wife and still love your canceled wife.
And that is the last extra, aside from the mini ones. There's more. There's 4 more mini ones.
Okay.
Yes. So the next slide are just like the Weibo extras. They're kind of like little snippets of scenes. So the first one is about Yan Wushi waiting out in the cold in front of a tea house for his sweetheart to arrive, and the innkeeper even comes out to, like, ask him, like, who he's waiting for. He's like, oh, my sweetheart. He's like, a lady then, okay. And then Shen Qiao shows up a bit later, and Yan Wushi pulls out, like, a bottle of wine from his tits. It's like, I warmed it with my body. Come drink this to warm yourself up.
Oh my God.
And the tea house owner is just like, in front of my salad. That's the first extra.
What is Shen Qiao's reaction?
It doesn't show his reaction.
Okay.
It shows the innkeeper's reaction.
Got it.
The next one is Yan Wushi's point of view from the moment he betrayed Shen Qiao to Sang Jingxing. It didn't particularly reveal anything, like, dramatically new, but I feel like there was a little bit more regret from his perspective, Like, there was a little bit of jadedness. Like, you got to see a little bit more of what he was feeling in those moments. Thanks, I didn't want to relive that, but okay.
Okay.
Then, the third extra, Shen Qiao gets drunk and mistakes Yan Wushi for Chifunga and accidentally calls him Shizun.
Stop.
With all of the consequences you'd expect, because
Oh.
Yan Wushi teases him about that immensely.
Oh my
like, call me
God.
Shizun again.
Oh my god.
My God, don't ruin Shizun for him.
Oh. Dear God.
And then there's like another scene, like unrelated in the same extra, of just Yan Wushi's disciples being silly gooses. It's like Yan Wushi, like kind of like hazed his disciple by giving him a task and making him like really overthinking it, and it was reality very simple. And then that elder disciple did the same thing to the younger disciple. It was
I
really
see.
really cute. Then the very last extra is Yan Wushi being a picky eater while having dinner with Shen Qiao and driving his husband crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, just annoying the shit out of him.
Wow.
And those are the mini extras. And that is it. We have gone through the extras.
Oh my gosh. Well, my overall impression of Thousand Autumns is that it's like you really got to get to the end. And that's what the first person who ever told me about Thousand Autumns told me, is like, once you read the complete story, it's just so good, and you
Yeah.
see how their relationship works, and it's so good. But if you're kind of looking for like a quick romance or like something juicy and spicy, like that's not it.
Yeah. I would say out of all the Danmei currently published by Seven Seas, this one is the least focused on a romantic relationship. But that doesn't mean that it's not romantic.
Yeah.
You know, especially in like the last couple volumes when, you know, you do have that dramatic shift from Yan Wushi. I'm very satisfied with the romance. Like, if I wasn't, I would be completely honest about that. But
Yeah.
I find their relationship, like, deeply interesting and, like, very unlike other Danmei couples because they have such dramatically different worldviews and they don't compromise. I mean, they do compromise on it, but those views in themselves aren't changed or melded into one,
Yeah.
like, common understanding of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they have such huge differences and yet are still, like, able to have a loving relationship. I think that's so neat.
Aww.
And I'm already looking forward to rereading this book because I think Shen Qiao's, like, personal character arc and growth, which so much of the story is focused on, is so inspiring. Even though it's, like, a lot of it is focused on kind of Taoism and martial arts and cultivation, I think that so much of it applies generally to what a lot of people struggle with. And it's just, like, how to be, like, kind and vulnerable and knowing that you will get hurt, but having the strength to allow that and accept that. And also how to, like, form boundaries and have the strength to call out people who are being cruel, like stop injustices, intervene when people need help, and not just, you know, have the kind of, like, kindness where you let people walk all over you, you know, like that kind of true, like, internal strength. I think that's so beautiful, and, like, Shen Qiao is, like, someone that I think many people can want to aspire to be like, and seeing his journey is so comforting if you're going through a hard time and want to, like, find that strength in yourself, and it's just very inspiring.
Well, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for putting together that incredible PowerPoint stitch. If you guys liked this series, be sure to click subscribe and check out this playlist of our other Danmei book clubs. And if you guys would like to hang out with Stitch and I, every Friday we do members-only live streams where we chat even more about our favorite Danmei boys, and we play games, and it's a ton of fun, and it helps support this channel. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!